All right, Mendezville live. Let's go. Welcome to Mendezville Live, where it's something to talk about. Here is Rudy Mendez. What's going on, Mendezville? What's up to another live session? Today we're going to have a special guest. We're going to be talking youth development. I come from a background of my master's work is in recreation and sport management. I got that back in the day from Indiana State University. I've been humbled enough to or privileged or lucky to have worked with San Antonio Parks and Rec. I've worked with the Terre Haute Parks and Rec over when I was in Indiana at Indiana State, and I created leagues and intramurals was part of it when I was at Loyola Marymount. Special programs, all about development and making sure kids play, whether they were high school kids, collegiate kids, and now especially with junior high kids. Seeing that now I'm a coach, so I'm a fan of studying the past in order to go and to move forward and understand. Kind of like a football coach or basketball coach or any coach, you go into halftime. You analyze what's going on, what's working, what's not working, and what kind of adjustments we're making. So we're gonna bring in a previous Mission Boys and Girls Club executive director and Palmview Parks and Rec director, Mr. Juan Arevalo. Without further ado, here we are. What's going on, Juan Arevalo?
Hey, how you doing, Rudy? Doing good here at home, relaxing.
Yeah, man. I know you. We're gonna be here for a while. I'm gonna pick your brain. I want to make sure that we try. One is learn from your past, from facts and experiences you had. Share some ideas that we can implement there in the city of Palmview or the city of Mission, or just ideas like what could work, and then understanding. And I'm coming at you from the parent side of it because my kids are 5, 6, 7, or 6. I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And then from a parent, from the coach's standpoint, on how we can work together, how you see Parks and Rec or Boys and Girls Club, what we can do to work together with different districts. I guess in City of Palm would be with La Jolla, Mission would be with the Mission high schools or whatever it may be, and of course, the coach, the parent, and the former career that I used to have. I know you do primetime sports. Can you give us a little bit rundown of what that is and what you do there?
Yeah, so Primetime Sports, we gave it birth maybe like 2 years ago. I ended up, when I was the executive director at Mission Boys and Girls Club, I got the pretty much an opportunity to purchase the RGV Dorados. I don't remember that arena football team, right?
Okay.
So I ended up purchasing the RGV Dorados. So I needed to have a company for it. So I created Primetime Sports and Entertainment LLC while I was working as an executive at the Boys and Girls Club, right? So through all that, eventually I ended up leaving the Boys and Girls Club because I wanted to go full time with Primetime Sports. So what we do now is we develop youth leagues in our local community, whether it's Mission or Palmview or Peñitas. We implement leagues. We make sure that the child gets to develop their skills, or not only just skill, but it's all about creating teamwork, a good environment for the kids, building up their self-esteem, their character. And like you said, sports is a main thing in a lot of our kids' lives, and it's all about creating that self-confidence in a child. So we do a lot of tournaments in the weekends, whether it's baseball, volleyball, football, soccer, but we also do consulting with smaller cities. We're trying to help smaller cities get their leagues going. I did some consulting with Peñitas, the city of Peñitas, and we went to the schools, and right away we developed a basketball program, and then we continued with soccer. And we all went into Alton as well, and we developed those programs in there. Peñitas and Alton are not known for sports, right? They're known for politics. They're known for, we're known for a lot of things. But one of the things that I think we're missing is we're not investing into our youth, right? And I've been also a youth pastor, for a long time, and I've always been a fighter for the younger generation. So Primetime Sports, is doing youth development, consulting. We haven't done concerts yet, but that is something that's coming up later on. But right now we're concentrating on doing a lot of youth development from ages 3 to 18. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this. I got to feel the impact at the when you went and consulted for Peñitas? Because I know they started through the Peñitas and whatever it is that you guys did. There was a lot of participation from some teams
Yeah.
using the Chavez Middle School gym,
Yeah.
which I'm a
Exactly.
firm believer in. If we got the right paperwork, the insurance, and the documentation, and if we have the surrounding cities, we could help out, right?
Yeah.
Because
And
our,
yeah,
go ahead.
that is very important. I remember when I was, and we did go and we did, it's considered, we do a local agreement, an interlocal agreement with the school district and the city. And pretty much it's is to develop the youth, right? This is what we're going to provide for the city. This is what the district, participation is. But I remember one time when I was, at that time, back in '08, I was the athletic director at the Mission Boys and Girls Club. So the city manager came knocking on my door and said, "Hey, would you do that at Palmview, right?" And the first thing the first person that I ran to was my old city manager, and he was also the chief of police. And I said, "Hey, what do you think if I go to Palmview, right?" He said, "Man, I don't know, man. Their budget is different. There's a lot of politics over there." But I went with the idea that there's 23 elementaries in La Jolla ISD.
Right.
There's 8 middle schools, and of course they have like what 5 high schools if you count the, you know, the if
Well,
you
let's
count
just
the
say
other
three.
schools.
Let's just say three plus the
There's
stuff
3.
that goes in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Special stuff.
So what I saw was a lot of numbers, but what they didn't have was the connection with all of them. So you mentioned that we went into Peñitas, and I said, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do. Let me, I'll do consulting. I run the leagues. I'll do the proper interlocal agreement. We do the proper registrations. We have the insurance. We have the schedule with the athletic director and back and forth." At that time, I think Alex Guajardo was the executive director.
Good old Payo, my man Payo.
Payo. So Payo is very workable, and you need
Yeah.
to make sure that you have that connection with. So we went in and we were using for certain levels, like we had 2 or 3 league divisions, right? So one of them, the older kids 9 and up, were using the Chavez Middle School, and then for the younger kids, I think it was 3rd grade and under, we were using the JFK Elementary. And a lot of the kids, not the majority of the kids, came from JFK alone. I think it had like 900 kids enrolled,
Which is good. I mean, and that's what we want because you know how you say about numbers, the more you teach, the more they love the game or just exercising in itself. And in the research from my master's work, and we're in class and we're studying and talking, and we have those discussions. It's at the end of the day, it's not about the focus is not about, okay, I'm going to get this 6-year-old to be a collegiate athlete or a professional. It's what are the intangibles that come with it of being responsible, being in a team, following instructions, good manners, not talking back, good teammates, sportsmanship, all these things that come into play. Now, one of the biggest subjects we used to have about that was, or the conversations was, for the kid, it's awesome. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, it's awesome for them to participate. One of the biggest aspects was when the parents or the coaches, they themselves couldn't control their sportsmanship, and you got parents hooping and hollering, things of that nature, and then some coaches go and attack the referees. I mean, I'm a referee myself at the high school level for basketball. I mean, I'm not perfect, but when I go into the game, I'm like, okay, we have our pregame, we got to give them the best game, and I can, there's 2 or 3 handfuls that really bug me as a referee that, man, I kind of messed that one up. I wish I would have done better. But I don't go home. I don't think any of the referees that we have go home saying, "Oh, well, yeah, I got them." No, we're out there trying our best. And it's challenging, But I think you're right. It's like you said, youth pastor and all that. It's very important in developing kids in the intangibles of those things that make up an individual. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The first thing when I went to Palmview, I remember that in Mission, you have a lot of there's a lot of policies, there's a lot of rules that you have to follow because of the fact that it's a good way to run it. So I remember my first meeting in Palmview, right when I decided to take that job in Palmview. It was
This was back in 2000 what?
2011. I was in Palmview from 2011, and it was the beginning of baseball season, and you can imagine that, right?
Yeah.
So I go into Palmview maybe like a month before baseball season, which is the toughest sport to manage because of the involvement with the parents, right? So the first thing that I do that I like to do, in fact, I do it even with my leagues, is we have a coaches meeting, and there's rules in place. and there's a code of conduct for the parents, and you have to sign it. What does that mean? We're still going to get into it. Okay, well, that's up to you, right? But my first reaction from people was like, who is this guy? We're used to running leagues, and there's nothing to sign. We're coaches, we're just volunteers. Hey, even though you're a volunteer coach, that means that you don't get paid, but there's a lot of responsibility that goes behind it. You have to make sure that you manage the team, make sure you communicate with the team, make sure you control your parents, make sure you there's no profanity, no cussing in the field, make sure that you're able to control. And that's a good coach, right? And that's what you want. Do you have all those coaches in place? No. But I remember the first time that I put that in place, and I said, whoever breaks one of these rules, I'm going to suspend you. In a lot of the smaller cities, politics is very strong. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to call the mayor. I'm going to call the city council. I'm going to call the city manager. And for me, I remember the first time when I show up, I told the city manager, if you want me to run this sports here, allow the new director that's coming in to be able to control and manage the leagues. Because if you're going to step over the director, then why am I here, right? And a lot of the mistakes that cities do, especially the smaller cities, and I say smaller cities because I was in Palmview, I was I did Peñitas, consulting Peñitas, and I've been in Mission, in Alton, Peñitas. I actually also work with Ed Couch ISD. We ran we ran what was called the AmeriCorps Youth Harvest, and that was what helped me do a lot of development. So the very first meeting, I made them sign. I said, look, if you want to be a volunteer coach under my leadership, this is the way I operate. People say, hey, a lot of teams are going to leave. And I think the year before, Palmview only had like 25 baseball teams. And that's a low number because baseball is very strong. And I said, it doesn't matter. So that my first year, I think we had like 45 teams, right? So we had 45 teams back in 2011. That's when I came in. I came in February 11th. I remember the exact day. And by March, we were getting baseball going. And you know what? Coaches came up to me and said, man, we wanted to hear that. We wanted somebody to put their foot down and say, this is the way we're going to run it, because a lot of select teams come in, right? And they destroy the recreational teams. So they discourage the other team. And that's been the number one, I think that's one of the number one arguments. The select team wants to play there because, hey, I'm from Peñitas, I'm from Palmview, I should play here. And then the recreational says, no, you shouldn't play here, you should go play in McAllen, right? So what we did is we kind of split the stronger teams on one side, and then we split if you were doing travel, we know who does travel and who doesn't do travel, right? And that's one of the ways that we try to help. And at the end of the day, it's never going to be an even matchup. It's never going to be. And we see it in all sports. There's always going to be a champion. There's always going to be a runner-up. There's always going to be somebody in last place, right? But I think it's up to the person. Like when it comes down to Palmview, it's all about how are you going to manage? How are you going to run your programs? Is that going to be the city manager? Is that going to be your mayor or your council? No, even them. They want to hear, what is a plan of action? How are you going to operate, right? And I think that's what a lot of people have failed, where they feel that, well, the city manager wants this, the council wants this. No, they want you to show a plan of action, and this is the strategic plan that we're going to run, and then you have to operate and run it, implement it in your leagues. Man, people have to believe. Yeah, man. I mean,
especially with that sportsmanship. I know a few years back, 2-3 years back, there was a video on Facebook where some lady goes and hits some person with a bat, and I was like, man, that's intense. And I
actually had almost 1 million views on Facebook.
Yeah, so I mean, sportsmanship. I'm assuming you do the same thing with primetime sports, and you have sportsmanship regulations and rules where parents understand going in. Hey, we're just here to watch the kids. This is not the World Cup. This is not the World Series, whatever it may be.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a code of conduct. It's make sure the parents signed it, and the child, at the end of the day, the parent is responsible for the child, and also, and they're under a coach. Well, the coach needs to control those parents. And we've had situations where coaches say, "Man, I can't control the parent." That's when I step in. Whether I was the coordinator, the director, the CEO, whatever it is, I have to step in at all times, because of the fact it can get out of hand. If I knew, that, the number one team against whenever I knew that they were playing each other, I'd make sure that number one, I'm right in the middle of the game. If it's a football game, I'm stuck right there. If it's a baseball game, I'm on the fence. Make sure that everybody, And then I put in my best referees. I put in my best umpires if it's baseball,
Yeah.
because I know that this guy can
The
control
level of
it.
the game. Yeah, you
Exactly.
you bring your best. Yeah, I used to do the same thing when I was at like Loyola Marymount and Indiana State. So, I'll tell you what, there was this one time, and see, and I like learning from people and stealing ideas. I was at a regional flag football tournament, and this guy from, I think it was Utah, or no, Montana, he comes and he tells me this idea. I was like, you know what, I'm going to implement that idea at Loyola Marymount. And I went back to it, and so what I started doing was, when there was a team that was going to go into a regional tournament, I had all the players, they're college kids, they're all 18, 19, 20. I said, all right, here we go. So they would sign a document. I mean, they would sign like 3 or 4, right? But one document was about sportsmanship. And I don't know if they still have that rule over there, but it was, if you get 2 unsportsmanlike conducts as a team, whether it be one individual or another individual in that regional tournament, while they were representing Loyola Marymount, that team was suspended for 1 whole year from intramurals. They could not play for a year, and they would sign it. And sure enough, that way those players go in with the focus of, we're here to play. We're not here to take time for the refs. Granted, some refs, they might have some bad calls, or they were college kids too.
Yeah.
And even in Parks and Rec, even in high school sports, sometimes it happens. Refs are
happens.
human, and at the end of the day, I mean, if they mess up or not, you keep playing.
Yeah.
And I always told when I was the coach or the quarterback or captain of the teams, is if we're really good as we really think we are, the refs have nothing to do with this game.
Yeah.
Granted, though, 1 or 2 calls, but if we're really as good as we think we are,
Yeah.
que uno anda con el cuello para arriba, and, hey, then go win. Then go win the
Yeah.
game. And don't worry about the refs, right? But
Yeah,
that was that. Oye, Juan, let me ask you this before we get into the, a little bit more of the nitty-gritty and policies and your experiences, is how has the COVID affected your prime time? Because I know for me, for Mendes Sports Training, and I was doing my training with speed and soccer, I went for a month, and then the spike hit, and I just closed it down because I didn't want to risk it. How did it affect you over there?
Oh yeah. I mean, as you know, the back in March was my last tournament. Actually, I was able to finish baseball before. I had already set it up for before. I like to give spring break off because a lot of parents want to take off, right?
Right.
So I had set my league to finish baseball. I was going to finish the first week of March, and then I finished my last tournament, and the following Monday they shut down. And then football, I actually had tackle football in the spring. So I stayed, I think I played like 5 or 6 games. We were playing at Mission Veterans. And I stayed halfway through the season, right? And then in volleyball, I had to cancel my tournaments on the weekends, and we were going to implement, a league during the week. And those were the volleyball is more like the travel teams, right? We haven't done the development yet because right now it's harder to be able to lease out gyms and so forth. Right. And soccer, I had barely started registration, so it affected me from March. I mean, we were going very strong, man. I mean, we were killing it. When it comes down to the numbers, I mean, we had like around 200 kids playing soccer. We had another 200 playing football. We had another 200 or 300 kids playing baseball. I mean, I had all the kids going, and I was doing league play, preseason, midseason. Yeah. And parents were excited. There was a lot of excitement. I was doing travel ball for volleyball. I mean, we were doing middle school and high school because at the Boys and Girls Club level, they weren't offering that. So I was doing middle school and high school and every weekend. And I actually was doing on Sundays, I was doing the adults. So it affected me.
Nice. I didn't know you did adults.
Yeah, we're doing adults. We were doing adult volleyball on Sundays. It was very competitive. The adults were doing at Juan Diego, the Catholic school.
Over there by military?
Yeah, military, Juan Diego Academy.
Yeah, I know where it's at.
Yeah, so we were able to work out an agreement with him where it benefit both of us. Benefit primetime sports, it benefit the school, but at the end of the day, it benefit the kids who were playing. So, but yeah, man, it affected our programs a lot. We had to stop because, of course, and then right now, a lot of coaches are calling to go back, but then you have a lot of parents that are iffy because of COVID-19. So, as much as I would love to be out there, and I'm pretty sure if I go, all these coaches will come and the kids want to play, right? In fact, I had to shut down my football team. We resumed in June, and I had to shut them down. They were going at it hardcore, and they were going, imagine playing tackle football with no shield, no covering, And then COVID is at its highest peak.
No,
I
no.
said, the liability is huge. So I said, no, let's shut down.
All
But
right, let me
yeah,
ask
it
you-
affected.
Let me ask you, you as a CEO for Primetime and running these leagues, me as a parent, I'm in MISA, we're doing spring soccer, and COVID happens, and then we stop. Me personally, I'm not asking for my money back because I understand the situation. And then we had a last summer, I remember 2 summers ago, last summer, they didn't have it because of previous summer, there was a lot of rain out games. A lot of parents were asking for their money back. So then it hurt me in the sense of my kids' development to where, well, now I have to look for other avenues. I ended up playing for the Mission Boys and Girls Club that summer.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later. But so that happens. How many parents are you getting a lot of people wanting their money back? Are they understanding
Actually, yeah.
more?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Well, what helped was that we finished baseball, right? So
Right.
baseball, I didn't get to register, kids. So that helped. Soccer, the same thing. Well, actually, soccer, we did have some teams. No, as of right now, in my communication with the coaches, it's always there. Coaches call in, hey, how's everything going? They're aware of COVID. So not a single parent has asked for their money back. Not a single parent. But if they would ask, though, I would return their fee, right?
Yeah.
But it was very minimal. In fact, we put out a promotional video to get it going, and
Yeah, I
everybody was
remember.
excited.
Yeah.
I mean, it hit everywhere. I mean, it was over 100 some shares, and I mean, Fidel did an awesome job, producing the video and then helping me boost it. So I think we're all just waiting. We're just waiting, but no, it hasn't affected me. Now I know that I have friends, at the Boys and Girls Club. They canceled literally everything, and they said, "Come and get your refund." Right? I mean, this is unexpected for all of us. This is new to everybody. I mean, look, not even the president, the doctors, nobody understands this. So it's all new. But for me, with the experience that I've had, I said, you know what? If we don't play, you can get a refund. Or if you wanna wait, we're gonna continue. Eventually, we're gonna end up playing, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we can resume. I know the schools are going back in to practice. I think in August, and then they resume
September.
games.
They moved it to
September
September.
27th is the first game, but apparently they can go to practice.
Something like that.
Yeah, no. I mean, right now my daughter's she was an 8th grader. She's moving into high school, and she's been training with a varsity team for veterans. I mean, veterans very strong, and they stopped for very like maybe like a week or two, but they're
Are
going
they
at
practicing
it.
right now? Are they back at it?
Yeah, actually, we're kind of iffy about it because of the fact that it's a very delicate situation. But yeah, they do Mondays and Wednesdays, and they're doing Mondays. But since it's private, it's a trainer. They have their own facility. It's not with a
So
school.
it's not through Mission Vets, then it's an actual trainer.
Yeah. No, it's actually, in fact, it's a Mission veteran's daughter. She played college ball. She's amazing, right? And but she trains on a separate, kind of like what we do on the side, right? It's It's not connected with veterans. It's not connected with the city. It's pretty much
It's
on
like
her
you
own.
and me, we have our own side hustle, training kids and stuff. We're developing.
Yeah, so they're getting ready. I mean, it's just Monday. They used to do Monday to Thursday, then they canceled. I mean, everybody shut the gyms, right? So they were able to get a gym that that they have here locally. So they're they're going at it. But I mean, we're still kind of like, it's a tough situation, but that's where they're at.
I know. I saw the football team and the boys, or the strength and conditioning program they have. It went on. I would pass by there in the mornings when I was doing my training, because I train nearby there. And they were going hard, man. And that's one of the few schools that kept open with the strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
I know other schools didn't have it, so I'm still interested in what kind of numbers they had in the sense of any kids getting COVID. I don't know. If
Well,
they
there's
did
a few kids. I mean, of course,
Is there?
it wasn't. Yeah, we heard just by. There's no facts to it, but we heard that a couple of kids were feeling sick, and some of them I think tested.
Yeah.
And I know Sharyland shut down immediately too. I think one of their kids came in, but at the end of the day, COVID is. I mean, it's not a public record. It's like you can do with the city. I mean, so people. I don't think they're allowed to keep it within their schools. But I mean, McAllen shut down, Westlaco because of the fact that a kid was getting infected, so they just completely shut down. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these kids don't feel the symptoms. I know one of young guys. He's 18. He got COVID, and he said, "I don't feel nothing at all."
Yeah.
He didn't feel anything at all. I thank God that they're young and
Right.
their immune system is very strong. They're very active. So it helps a lot with when you get the sickness. So yeah.
I was telling my wife, she works at Mission ICU, and they just had a special right now at 10 o'clock on Channel 5 News. And she said it's becoming normal to wrap people up.
It's
You wrap
crazy.
them up, and every day, 3 to 5 people, you wrap them up. And Pobrecita, my wife, she starts, we're teary eyed, and she's like, it's sad that's
Yeah.
the new norm. The new norm, every day we wrap someone up. And then I told her, like you said right now, the immune system. I'm like, well, I don't know why people just don't listen to me and take care of their immune system, but that's a totally different plug or whatever it may be. But we at the end of the day, we got to be careful. I think a lot of school districts are they did well in pushing the 3 weeks for virtual learning, because we don't know, and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there. But so that's what you do, primetime sports. You led Mission Boys and Girls Club. Now, one plug I really want to say before we start into, we're going to start with Mission. We're going to start with Mission, and then we're going to go into Palmview. But I want to tell the public, there's Boys and Girls Club, and there's Parks and Recreation. Correct?
Yeah. So
And there's a difference, right?
yeah, in fact, when I was in Palmview, they sent us a letter because people were using parks. It was Boys and Girls Youth Club, right? All they changed, we added the youth, and in fact, we even had an account under that.
Yeah.
Boys and Girls Club of America is totally different. Not that they're offering different things. The difference is that you're paying fees into an organization. You're paying the logo that says the hands.
Yeah, right.
You're paying for that logo. You're paying a membership. You're paying $10 per child. Like intermission is $10 per child, and then you pay whatever else they charge. But it's a worldwide organization. I mean, here the U.S. very strong. They're very strong on youth development. They're very strong on on education. They're strong in community involvement. They're strong. They're not as strong in sports like you and I would think that Mission
Right.
and Palmview are. I would go to the national conferences, right? We'll go to the national conference in Austin. We actually had it at UT Austin last year. I think it was last year. We had it in Colorado. I mean, I think we went to all these nice places, and it's all about developing the child. It's all youth development, and there's a lot of funding. So Palmview, because you're connected to them, right? To the national organization. Palmview is just a local youth club, and it's under Parks and Recreation. So they can't use a logo, they can't use a name because they're not members. Now, I remember when I went to Palmview, I said, well, why don't we make it a Palmview Boys and Girls Club, right? But we had to go under the umbrella of Mission for 5 years. I think it's 3 to 5 years. You go under umbrella, and Mission oversees your finances.
Kind of like a mentorship.
Yeah.
Kind of like a mentorship.
Yeah, you go under their wing, and they'll take you, and then at the end you go on your own. But because of politics and control, you don't want to go that far because, hey, but why is Mission going to control our club? It's not necessarily controlling. They just want to make sure that you're using the name for Mission.
Yeah.
Because that's the closest club. Now Rio Grande became a Boys and Girls Club a couple of years ago, and they paid their dues, they paid their fee, their memberships. Yeah. But the difference is that if you become a Boys and Girls Club, you're connected with the Boys and Girls Club of America. You get all the funding that they offer, you get all the benefits that they have. You get access to grant writing. You have a lot of training, and that's what I think. A lot of the smaller cities, you don't train your staff. You don't do staff development. You don't have conferences. I mean, we send everybody to the conference here on the island. We'll send the leadership team to Austin.
The Boys and Girls Club.
The Boys and Girls Club. And in Palmview, the 7 years that I was there, the only one that did some sort of conference was myself, because we went to a workshop at the island, and that one had to be sponsored by literally the whole Palmview area, right? But I think that's where that's the difference between clubs.
So you would say I mean, what I'm hearing is it would be beneficial for city leaders to say we can use funding from Boys and Girls Club. There's more funding from Boys and Girls Club than there is from us doing it from Parks and Rec.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty much that's why the bigger cities always get the most money. So I would say, you know what, if Palmview or Penitas or La Jolla. I mean, I talked to literally all three, up to La Jolla, because I want, consulting services and youth development. With all the experience that I've gained, you also you also connect with a lot of people. I saw you, I think yesterday, the day before, you had a gentleman from UTSA, right?
Oh, the track. Yeah, my track buddy. Yeah,
so-
yeah. He's a collegiate coach.
Yeah, so you're a coach in La Jolla. When is the collegiate coach from San Antonio going to come here to the Valley? It's not going to happen, right?
When I tell him to. When I tell him to come, he'll
but
come.
you connected with him, right?
Yeah. I have that connection.
So the same thing is here. You need to have the connection. So along the way, I connected myself when I would go to these conferences with all these people. You go into the executive directors meet. It's all executive directors. You have 60 of them there in a meeting, or 80 or 100, and they're all sharing their cards because hey, if you need a grant, call me. If you need, and like if Palmview, when I was in Palmview, I fought to get a United Way grant. Right, United Way was given mission close to $70,000 a year. Here, $70,000, and they require for you to do presentations, 40 presentations. You go and ask for money. You as a coach, we go during a workshop before the school starts. When the teachers are in, they're doing
or like a 6th grade PE class, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, they go to the teachers in workshop and say, "Hey, we're from United Way.
Okay,
you want to give?" So what they do is Palmview, United Way of South Texas was going to La Jolla School District, and because I was one of them, right? I would go when I was in mission and take money from Palmview High School, take from the elementaries. So I went.
Who's giving you that money?
And that's
The
through
teachers? Their donations?
The teachers, the principals, the employee, any employee, they say, "Hey, would you like to give? This is what we do." Okay, what do you do? Well, we do after school programs. We have tutoring, mentoring. We have arts and crafts. We have basketball, football. So people give. They pledge, and that's what it's called. You pledge to give so these programs can continue. And one of the things that I fought in Palmview was for that United Way grant. So they told me, no, there's no funding. Boom, I made a phone call to superintendent. You have to be on it because people are not going to give you free money. I called superintendent. I said, look, how much funding are you guys getting from United Way? And she looks at me. At that time was Ms. Benavides, and she goes, never thought of that. No, we're not getting anything. I said, I'm the only youth program in the area at that time when I was in Palmview. I said, we're not giving a single penny, but when I was in Mission, we're getting $70,000, and guess where we're getting the money from? Not only from Mission CISD or Sharyland, but we would come to La Jolla and get your money, and then they would distribute among everybody. But La Jolla people were just giving out money, and it was going to Mission, Edinburgh, McAllen, Westaco.
The
right?
United Way. So who decides where that money goes? United Way?
No, the director. Like when the money comes in, you budget the money. Says, you know what, I want to put 20,000, for youth development or to buy equipment. I want to put $10,000 for physical activity or fitness and wellness.
Right.
And you, as a director, you budget for what you want, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. So I made a call superintendent. When United Way shut me down, I called superintendent and she goes, what do you need? I said, I want you to call and say, hey, give this. I didn't want money at that time. I just wanted an opportunity to apply, right? That's all I wanted, because you have to apply. And there's a lot for the grant. There's a lot of stuff that they ask. So we end up getting. They say, well, if you guys get it, it's gonna be the minimum, like 5,000. I said, I don't care. It's a good start, right?
Right.
Well, they gave me, when I went to the meeting, me and the old mayor at that time. I say, hey, mayor, we got the grant. We got awarded. Let's go. They gave me the
mayor from where? The mayor from where?
From Peñitas at that time.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, mayor from Palmview. Mayor Perez at that time, which is the previous mayor. So we got the United Way. They gave me $20,000 a year, which is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from 0 to 20,000.
I mean,
I was only gonna go up, yeah. But then in that following year, I think 2 years later, I left to Mission. So I think they just let it die, and they never applied. And but you have the power, because La Jolla is so big when it comes down to employees. They have so many schools, so many elementaries, that United Way knows that is a good area to collect money. And it's okay, because that's what everybody does, right? But how are you giving it back to the school?
Yeah, but it goes back
district?
to the community. It goes back to those kids.
But if nobody applies for them, guess where they go? To the people that actually apply. Yeah. And then from there, I mean, so, there's grants, like for the youth center, if, you can get those Boys and Girls Club, you can get the United Way grants, the Boys and Girls Club grants, you can get the urban county, the county, commission. All those grants are available, It's just a matter of getting them, right?
And these grants that you're talking about, these, I mean, there's plenty of grants, obviously. So all these grants go back to either Parks and Rec or the Boys and Girls Club. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, pretty much. They'll go back. Yeah, like if I apply for a grant, I'm applying for my department, right? I'm gonna
Yeah.
apply. I'm gonna apply
Yeah.
for let's say it's Palmview. I'm applying for Palmview, and like the PD applies for a grant because it's for the PD. You cannot
I
use
see what you're saying.
So
when you're applying for the position that you're working in, which was the City Parks and Recreation or the Mission Boys and Girls Club.
yeah, so whoever is the director, city manager it's a big help too. But at the end of the day, they have a lot of stuff on the agenda that's why you hire directors. Hey, you always on the lookout for grants. How can we save money? How can we bring in funding? And that's something that I felt that with all that experience that I have, I went to Peñitas and we were getting sponsors and we're doing, all these things without pretty much a budget, right? And I think that's where it starts, with a budget. And I know that, you have all these cities that, they have a small budget overall, right? 5 million, 4 million, 3 million, somewhere there. And there's got to be other ways to bring in some funding.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, that part of that budget is paying staff, correct?
Yeah, well, like here in the city of Mission, 70% of the budget of the 117 million, 70% is to pay salaries. The other 30 is to do development. I mean, what are you going to do with 30%? I mean, so 70% goes into the salaries, because not only you have salaries, you also have to pay a lot of insurances. You got to pay, their medical insurance. You got to pay the retirement. So a lot of that money goes into all that, into the retirement and so forth. So,
man, so I mean, at the end of the day, so if you want money for your programs, you got to go Boys and Girls Club and apply for grants. I think that's what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, you
That's
have
the best
to.
way from your experience?
From my experience, yes, right? Now, when I was there, in Palmview, I didn't have a budget, right? I didn't have to say, hey, here, hire these people. It was you only have like 1 or 2 staff, and then the rest had to be, subcontract. And you got to find ways, whether it's sponsorships, whether it's a big event, you do I don't know, you can do an adult, volleyball tournament. I would do a baseball tournament, mix it up with adults for softball.
So you're telling me, let me get this straight, because see, I came from the university. Mm-hmm. Money was never a problem. Like at NMU, man, they one summer they said, here you go, we got $15,000. We need you to spend it in the next month. Figure it out. Buy whatever you need to buy for your program. I was like, what? It was funny because it was like, I have pressure to spend all this money.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you is you didn't have money. So where would you get your money for, one, equipment, mm-hmm. 2, to pay your officials and your staff for the Parks and Rec?
Yeah, and the most expensive is the uniforms, the kids' uniforms. Remember, you have to get them. If it's baseball, you get them a shirt and a cap.
But parents pay for that, no? Like on the registration fee?
Well, they pay, let's say, 50. I mean, when I was there, I charged everybody 50 across, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, they went down to like $25. What can you buy with $25? That's why you get into a hole, because you try and say, okay, we need to attract kids. Let's lower the fee. But then if you're not getting any money, you're not getting any grants to fulfill that fee, that void, then you're gonna be stuck. And so what I would do is would charge $50 across the board, and then from there, from that same money, you need to pay the referees, because it's expensive to pay referees. Yeah. You gotta pay your contract people that help you run your concession, help you run the fields. You also got to buy, your equipment, your medals, your trophies whether it's a preseason tournament, end of the season, you got to buy that. You need to buy equipment, like the beginner coaches. Hey, I'm going to run baseball. Give me a tee, give me a baseball bat. All that is expensive, Yeah. So it adds up when you
field maintenance. What about your maintenance? Who takes care of field maintenance? Is that through the city or through your department?
Yeah. So it's very different. Like in Palmview, you had to do your own lines. You had to do all this stuff. Now, yeah, we had a maintenance guy that cleaned the park and cut the fields. But when it came down, in fact, in Palmview, I had to call La Jolla ISD, and they would come and mark my lines. I had friends, when you have and I call them good connections. Is that I don't want to call it politics. I call it they're connected because they're interested in the child's development.
Yeah.
So I would call La Jolla ISD athletic director, Of course, we went through the whole interlocal agreement, and they would come and do our lines for football,
I
for
see what you're
soccer, and then for baseball, it was every day. They can come every day, right? So I had a guy doing them every day. In Mission, Parks and Recs has a crew that maintains the parks. So that same crew, when it's baseball season, they do your lines. You pretty much tell them, this is the schedule for the year, right? Here's my 100 games that I'm going to play for the next 6 weeks. And this is the dimensions for the baseball. This is the dimensions for soccer. This is the dimensions for football. And they would do it, right? And the difference is that they have a lot of staff in Parks and Rec and Mission. If you go to Palmview, there was really one guy that would clean the park, or two guys, but the rest are out there. They don't have a lot of staff. They have like 6 to 8 people doing all the maintenance in the city. And so it's tough for a smaller city.
It's funny because I used to do that when I was in my intramural days. It was me, or I would teach my student supervisors or student refs to learn how to paint the lines so we could go out there and do it. We wouldn't cut the grass, but we'd paint the fields depending on what sport we were playing. So it's very interesting, man. So one of the biggest things is the budget. I know one of the things is growth. My main concern is growth and partnering up. And I know you already touched a little bit about partnering up and the connections that you mentioned. And a few weeks ago on my live that I went on my phone was the growth that the city has had over the past 20 years. And it's interesting you talk about Palmview Parks and Rec, because I remember going when it had just opened back in, man, I think it was like 96, 97, 96, somewhere around there. And I remember it was new, the little, playroom and people playing foosball, playing pool.
Yeah.
The park I used to go into and play. What kind of growth did you see while you were there? Was there a lot? Was there not? If there wasn't, what hindered it? And if there was, what was a good thing about that growth?
Yeah. So it was when I went in there. Well, if you go back in 2008, from 2008 to 2011, I was the athletic director at Mission, right?
At Mission what?
At Mission Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, okay.
From 2008 to 2011. During that time, we had Palmview bring one football team during football season. They'll bring in one football team to our league because they didn't have any.
When you say, sorry, Juan, when you say athletic director, that means you're in charge of the leagues?
No, the athletic director is in charge of all the sports leagues.
Okay, good.
The programs director is in charge of all the programs. And this is Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
And then the executive director, the umbrella, the executive director, the executive director oversees the sports, the programs, and everything around it, right?
Right.
So at that time, I was not the executive. I was the athletic director at Mission Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
And I remember that Palmview would bring in one basketball team. They will bring in one football team. They will bring in one volleyball team to play. So I remember that, in 2011, I got a phone call and I said, hey, why don't you come to Palmview? I said, oh, man. So I ended up being in Palmview. So speaking of growth, I said, you know what? We can grow in this place. And when I say grow, I mean that I literally had to start from scratch. We had no football leagues. They had a team to go play in another city. But in your city, there was nothing going on with the exception of 25 teams in baseball, right? That one, they stayed on their own. And we would interlock. Mission and Palmview will interlock in the older division, right? They'll bring 3 teams, and we had 3 teams. So that's the only sport that we would interlock in baseball. But aside from that, baseball teams always been around in Palmview. So my goal was always, been about growth and expansion, right? So I remember that I went and I talked to the city manager. I said, hey, are you ready to grow? He goes, I'm ready. Me and him played football together in high school. He was a quarterback. I was a go-to receiver, right? So we had the connection. Then he was a volunteer coach for the football team. So he would come to Mission. And at the end of the day, we connected. And I ended up going to Palmview. So I said, are you ready to grow? He goes, yeah. I said, along with growth, comes financial pains, right? If you're going to grow, you're going to give birth to something. It's like a wife, she gets pregnant and give birth in 9 months. She's going to have a baby. Eventually, she's going to go through some growth with her body. So I told him, we're going to grow where we're going to have to need money to, we're going to need money to grow. He goes, whatever you need, let's do it. So what helped me was the support from the city manager. Says, you run it, whatever you need, you let me know. Hey, I went with that, confidence
Yeah.
that we're gonna make this thing grow.
Yeah,
So
that's
what
never mind. You're gonna get 100 support. You just ask and you get it.
yeah, and to be honest with you, I got the support from the mayor, from the council, because all this was new to them. And then we hit it. I said, you know what? I started hitting the schools. I did my flyers. You have to do a lot of PR. So I went to the schools, do presentations day in. One day I would go to the second, third, fourth, and fifth grade, and in JFK. The next day I go to Leo's, and I go to I'll go to Escandon. I would go to Flores. I would go to Camarena. Man, I hit all the schools. And you know what? The good thing was that I had a coach that was a friend of mine, whether because he was a coach at the rec center, whether he was a coach that played football. I was connected in every school. So it helps me that they were pushing the presentations.
Yeah. Right.
So we go and, like I said, they had 25 baseball teams. My second year, we went to 75 baseball teams, right?
Wow.
My third year, we go to 94 baseball teams. You're talking about 14 teams of 12 to 14 kids in 3 and 4, 14 teams in 5 and 6, 14 teams in 7 and 8, and so forth, man. There was such an excitement. Just to let you know that we went from doing our opening ceremonies at our big field there, and they have a big field in there at the park. We were doing the fields there, and I would see all the. For me, it's always been like, if the parents are happy, kids will be happy too, right? So I see all the parents stuck in the fans. They couldn't enjoy the ceremony. Their kids walking in. So I said, let's go to the Palmview High School. So I called the coach there. I said, hey, this is what we're going to do. At that Mage, which is the head coach at Palmview, me and him play football together, football in high school. And I said, hey, man, this is what I want to do. Let's do it. We did the ceremonies that year at the Palmview baseball field. Well, we grew so much that we ended up doing our opening ceremonies for baseball at the La Jolla ISD Stadium.
No wonder baseball's so good in La Jolla ISD. I bet the head baseball coach is probably just chilling, relaxing in the shade, and go and play.
Well,
But
to
I
be
don't know.
honest
I don't
with
know.
you,
Mario Flores is a good friend of mine, so I don't know how much of the work. I'm sure he works hard. I know he works hard.
Well-
I'm just saying it because he put a comment on there. He put baseball, and he puts the logo. I see
Yeah.
you, Mario Flores. I see you making a comment.
Yeah, no, baseball, to be honest with you, baseball it's a powerhouse if you know the travel
Yeah,
team.
because of you have 94 teams. If you
Yeah.
have 94 teams, there's kids that are going to go out. They're going to become good. They're going to learn how to play.
Yeah, and at that time, select ball was exploding, right? When I came in, I had all these select teams like, hey, Juan, I want to play. Hey, man, you're going to scare all my teams out. So, I cater to the select teams. I cater to the recreational teams. And at the end of the day, everybody from Palmview, from Peñita, La Jolla, all that area goes to play there. And it benefit everybody instead of traveling all the way to McAllen, far,
Right.
Edinburgh. So we kept it there. But, when it came down to the growth, and I told the city manager at that time, hey, we're going to have to start charging at the door. We need to start doing tournaments to just
Are you the one that came up with the charging at the door? I hate the
Yeah.
fact that you get charged at the door. You're the guy to blame. I cannot stand that I have to go to that park when I getting charged. Come on,
Yeah.
man. But
Well-
it's fine. You got to make that money, like you said. You got to find the budget somewhere.
Yeah, I had to spend $6,000 on baseball equipment, $6,000 to $8,000, right? And then I had to spend another $15,000 in uniforms. Then I had to spend like another $10,000 because we had so many teams
Right.
in the umpires, right? And then we had to spend on the staff and everything as it goes in.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for baseball in Palmview, I wouldn't survive the other sports. The money that we would do between March and June, because I will host a lot of All-Stars as well. The money that we made there will sustain the program, will sustain because football's so expensive. Shoulder pads, helmet, and then people are only paying $50. Come on, the helmet is $100.
Yeah, it doesn't cover it. Yeah.
The helmet
That's
alone is
expensive.
$100. So because of baseball, we were able to, and I would always tell city managers, the two that I work with, I said, man, this is the time that I recuperate because I need to put money in my account to survive the summer program. Because of baseball, we had a summer program, right? It led into the summer program where kids will go there all day. And then it'll help football to buy equipment. And then in basketball, because football and basketball, to be honest with you, the numbers are not that high when it comes down to the recreational. But when it comes down to baseball, man, the numbers are huge because of the fact that at 3 years old, you can play, or 2, you hit the ball and run. It's not very hard, right? And it's fun. So you bring in grandma, grandpa, the tío, the tía, and they're all there cheering for their kid.
Yeah.
And there, people were, some people are not happy that we charge in the door, but that when you have so many programs and you don't have a lot of funding, at the end of the day, they realize that, these guys have to sustain
you
the
gotta get creative. You gotta get creative on how to make money. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what though, it sounds like revenue sharing. I don't know if the people that are watching out there, some professional leagues, I don't know which ones they are. I know that if it's NFL, NBA, whatever it is, there's revenue sharing, and it sounds like
Yeah.
that's what you're doing because in revenue sharing, one team gets a lot of money from the stands and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and they share amongst the league, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing, and it's a smart way to do it. The thing is, I know, me personally, I know baseball is big in Palmview. I mean, 94 teams, that's a lot. That's a lot of teams. So can you talk to me about the football and the basketball and how did it exist when you got there? If it did, how big it was, and what kind of things you did to make it bigger? Because my thing is, I'm a firm believer that if you're a basketball player, you're going to be a good football player, and it'll help for baseball a little bit. And I know the other day I had a coach saying that a basketball player doesn't go well into football. I was like, wait a minute, Antonio Gates is one of the best tight ends. He never played college football, and he played basketball, but he's one of the greatest. And, and now looking back into that, it's like a basketball player is going to go play receiver. He's going to go play secondary and all these things. So what kind of things were you looking at on growing the basketball program?
When it comes to, when I went to Palmview, there was really no basketball. They had really, it was all mixed, and there was not a lot of we didn't have a lot of teams. So we the same system that we use for all sports, which is you visit the schools, you promote it, boost it on Facebook, you put out flyers, you visit coaches, you go to the businesses and get the banners out there or the signs. But I started hitting the coaches, and I started doing some basketball camps. So we said, hey, you're the head coach for Palmview. You need to get involved. At that time, I think you had Science as the head coach in Palmview.
Yeah, I think I saw him volunteer and coach.
Yeah, he was a volunteer coach. Joey, his son, was playing the assistant at that time. Joey's sister, which is Coach Reina, she's the one that pushed that basketball program even in the summer league. We had a summer league for basketball for the high school, and she allowed me. But I worked with her, and we pushed it. So we had that league going. But in the younger generation, you have to make sure that you run camps, that the coaches are out there and say, hey, you know what, we need to get the players involved, because if the high school and middle schools don't get involved with the younger generation, a coach is just waiting for them to come to high school. But they got to start them young, and that's why when the baseball player shows up the freshman year, last year you had, I think, 2 freshmen at La Jolla. It was La Jolla. It was Juice. I think he played with you, right? Juice.
I had Juice. Great
Juice.
Great
Juice.
kid.
Yeah, and I forgot. JC Gutierrez.
Yes.
Those 2 kids were freshmen. They were striking out all these other kids, but those kids started at 3. So when they get to high school, you're telling me that the high school varsity coach, he already knows, hey, you know what, this kid's already has a strong arm.
Yeah, their baseball IQ is way above.
Yeah, so it's easy for a head coach. Not that it's easy to coach, but he doesn't have to start from the bottom with
he's
with
not
the mechanics.
Fundamentals.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
teaching game situation because of the IQ.
That's what that is. The coach is just saying, hey, let's increase their speed now. Let's get them into the weight room. Let's help them and with the signs. This is what works. The change up, the slider.
More technical stuff.
And that's where the head coach comes in and the varsity team, right? And for baseball, people don't have problems. Everybody in this, that's why baseball, Palmview has a strong team all the time. La Jolla, even, I think. I'm going to
make a quick statement on this from the coaching world. If you have kids, me personally, if you have kids, and this goes to every high school coach from Rio Grande to McAllen to Edinburgh. For example, in McAllen, Nicky Rowe, we know that basketball players go out there. Half of them don't belong to Nicky Rowe. Mm-hmm. My expectation from that kind of program is you need to go 3 to 4 rounds deep, right? And if you can't do it, we need to find someone that can, right? And the Mendezville ISD scenario that, my made up Mendezville. Yeah. In baseball, like what you're saying, if you have all these kids growing up and playing at 3 years old, if you can't get 3-4 rounds deep, we need to find someone else. In the game of soccer, Juarez Lincoln, If you
Number one.
get kids that are playing at that level since they're 3 and 4 and they have a high basketball IQ, if you as a coach cannot make 3 to 4 rounds deep every single year, we need to find someone else. But of course,
Yeah.
that's just me. There's a lot of factors that go into play in the coaching world, in the high school, and the board, and you can't just fire people and the contracts and TEA and lawsuits. But me personally, if you have stacked teams year in, year out, from what you're saying, the expectation of those head coaches should be very, very high.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think football is so when I get to Palmview, I brought the league to instead of going to Mission, I said, why am
So
I
you
gonna
started
go?
the football league there in Palmview.
Yeah, well, when Palmview was playing, they had one team that would
They
go
would
one
go
or
there,
two
right,
teams.
right.
But when I came over here, I said, I'm not gonna go nowhere. I mean, I have all these elementaries that I'm gonna target. I just have to develop them.
Yeah.
So we started the league. In fact, that next year, Mission cancels their football, their tackle, and this is tackle football, right? Contact football. So Mission shuts down their tackle football, and then they keep the flag football. So I became the only one that had the league in Palmview. So guess what? Now the Mission kids will want to come to Palmview to play tackle football. And then Palmview had the league there. So it was a good rivalry, I mean, you get the better kids from Mission play against the better kids from Palmview, Peñitas, La Jolla, Sullivan.
Oh, man. No,
It
Juan,
was-
you know what? When I was new, when I came back to the Valley, and I started working for the district, I came back to the Valley in the fall of 2011. And some of my players told me, no, man, coach, you got to go watch Palmview. And one night I stopped, I'm going home. I stopped there at Palmview Parks and Rec at the football field to watch the Colts with Martinez, Efren Martinez's team.
Oh, yeah, he was
Yeah, the
coaching there
dad,
with me.
the
Yeah.
Colts, yeah. And he goes, man, come on, coach, support. And so I go and check it out. And then Joey Garza's out there. It was Joey
Oh.
Garza versus Efren Martinez's team,
I
right?
I was there, yeah. Joey,
Yeah.
a friend.
Oh
they
my
hated-
God, it was so intense. The atmosphere packed. I mean, just people cheering. It was.
Crazy.
I mean, I don't know if it still happens. I haven't stopped there in the fall
Well,
in a very
no,
long time. But
they don't have they did away with the league as well. When I left to Mission, they did away with the league. So it all shut down. But yeah, man, those games were so intense.
man, those nights were intense, man. It was
I always had to be, how you're always I'm always on the sideline.
Right.
I had to be in the middle of the field telling coach, move back. Parent, move back.
yeah.
The-
As a
this-
coach, you get lost.
bro.
You get so into it, man.
They're so into it, and a big hit, boom. And football, man.
Yeah,
if you're the one giving the hit, yes, hit them harder. And the
Yeah.
one on the other side, they got the hits injured on the floor.
Hey, why are you saying that? Don't be
Why
saying
is
that.
my
Yeah.
son's on the floor? So it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
chaos. But
it's part of the game. It's part of the experience.
Efren had a kid that played with us, right? He was he's a stud running back right now at Palmview High School, right? He's Peña.
I don't know.
Peña. He's the leading.
Okay.
He was the leading rusher in the state.
All right. Oh, yeah.
Peña.
I saw those stats.
Yeah, Peña. I forgot his name. Juan, whatever his name is, Peña. Anyways, that kid, he was 10 years old. Nobody could bring him down. You see him? Dude, he's a small kid. They couldn't bring him down. He scored everywhere. He was knocking heads. I went in and I grabbed them from. I told him, hey, come over here, because I had that relationship with them. Even as a director, I was very involved with the kids. I said, hey, do me a favor. Look at the score. Look at all the kids you're knocking down. Slow it down.
Yeah.
And normally, why would you say that to a kid?
Yeah.
I had to, man, because this
Yeah,
kid
it
was
comes
a
with
beast.
sportsmanship. It's part of the sportsmanship. Yeah, I understand. You're gonna beat them. Yeah.
Efren's son was a killer. I mean, El hijo de Efren, he was a quarterback, I think, at Juarez.
No, I coached him. I coached him in 7th grade. He was deadly. Yeah, he
Man,
hurt people.
that kid would hurt people. I would call him too. I said, come over here. Remember that day that I met with you at my office? Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you for a favor now. You want me to I need for you to don't knock heads. I'm sending everybody to the hospital. I had an ambulance there. That ambulance was used so much, bro, to take them to. And I know there's an issue right now in Palmview with all the ambulance deal, right?
Yeah, there's that political with. I will say this though. There's it's a little political talk is, how in America in the national stage is how COVID can help some people in their campaigns,
Oh, yeah.
and people forget about pre-COVID. And I think that's working in their favor. But I'll talk about that in another podcast. Because it's gonna get interesting.
Yeah.
The whole ambulance and the city of Palmview. But see, at the same time, that's why you're here to talk about how you grew and stuff like that. Either way, back to football. So my thing is, you had an awesome football program, because I will say this. Watch this story. So you talk about Efren Martinez, the father. He has two sons. There's
Joey.
Joey. He has I got to coach his son at Chavez. Great. Very very hardworking kid.
Yeah.
So as a junior high coach, that program is now I don't have to teach as much vocabulary and basis of the game, right? And some people take it for granted. You're like, come on, these kids already know football. It's not like that. It's not like the 80s and 90s where we watched a lot of TV and football.
Yeah.
Line of script. There's a lot. I do a lot of teaching, and Coach Wally Barrera once asked me. He said, "Mendez, what's your strength? What would you consider your strength?" And I said, and that's the first time anyone had asked me. And over the course of time and thinking of that question, I said, I think my strength is closing the gap. Closing the gap of what they don't know from what a line of scrimmage is, first down, the concept of the game. I close the gap because we watch, in my team, in my program, we watch film, right? Either way, the point is, by them playing in your program as a junior high coach, pues there's kids that you're not going to get all 22 or 11 or whatever. You'll get 4 or 5 kids that have played, which is a big plus. Now watch this story. So in one of my coaches this year, he's a big-time McAllen guy. He knows friends from McAllen, and he's talking to one of his buddies, and this is what his buddy says. He goes, "Nah, man, I can't believe it. One of my guys, we have a good team. We have a good team. We're one of the best teams. Can we have a good team? Can we have a good team?" And he goes, "But one of my safety," and this is a coach from McAllen, not a Hoyesi, a coach from McAllen. He goes, "But my safety, he's the one guy on the whole team that has never played organized tackle football." And then my coach goes, "One guy?" He said, "Our whole team has never played tackle football. What are you talking about? Our whole team." Well, lo and behold, at the end of the game, guess who? We ended up playing them.
Yeah.
And we took the victory. Like normal. It's a norm to win there at the school I teach.
And those are great stories that you've seen. That for me, I know these teams. I say, Joey's stacked, right? He's gonna be stacked. He's gonna look kids from the barrio, because that's what he would always tell me. Hey,
because you played with him, right? You played with him.
Yeah, he's 1 or 2 years younger than me. Yeah, he's aggressive, right? Yeah. And that's the same mentality that he had to play. He had it to coach, which is good. But he loved the kids, and the kids loved him. He's a great guy. He would get a little wild, but at the end of the day, he was always, "Hey, you know what? You're right."
Yeah.
Well, Joey, so we always knew that Efren was going to be stacked. We always knew that, you have Mario, Chapa that was coaching there, or también one of the coaches that was there. He's a coordinator now. Coach, he was an assistant coordinator from La Jolla, athletic director. The assistant, what's his name? He worked at Chavez.
Flores. Roy
Flores' kid, and he was coaching there. So you always have those kids that you feel that this is the team's gonna beat, and then when somebody comes and surprises everybody because they got one stud that came out of nowhere, and nobody can stop him. He's destroying people. And in football, at that level, you have one kid in offense.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Controls the offense and the defense, cállate,
Oye, Juan, what were the numbers like when you started that in 2011, and what were the numbers like when you left in football?
So like I said, there was nobody. We didn't have a league, so they had one team. But when I went, and that's one of the things that I pride myself in. That what I felt that I did in Mission, in Palmview, and everywhere that I've been, it was all about growth. So I remember that we started with 200 kids. That's what they had. They had 200 kids in the whole program, 200 to 300 if you include all of them. Because remember, they only had one team across, right? The numbers were coming from baseball. They had like 200-300 kids. When I left, we were at 5,000 kids. Like I said, we had almost.
That's 5,000 in all the sports.
All the sports.
I'm talking about just football. What were the numbers like in football?
Oh, in football, I had eight teams of 25 kids each for the 10, 11-year-olds. And then I had another 6 to 7 teams from the 8 and 9. And then I got your flag football. So you're looking at, what is it? At 25 kids, at 4, that's 203. we probably had like around 400, 500 kids playing football.
Man, that was a great plus for us junior high coaches, and I'm sure for the high school coaches to have, coming in with 4 or 5 years experience. That IQ
Yeah.
it makes a big difference. I know, for example, one of the coaches, he's a Roel de Hoyos.
He coached me.
Yeah, he coaches
The
and you could-
Gamecocks.
yeah, the Gamecocks. He's a big, es un gallero.
Okay.
He had a really good team this year at his junior high because he coached his
Yeah.
son, and it makes a difference when you can tell how kids understand the game more. And I think we need to bring that back if it doesn't exist. I don't know if it does or if it doesn't.
Yeah.
You said it doesn't, right?
No,
That doesn't exist.
so when I left, they decided to keep flag football. And when I got
Safer, I guess, maybe.
yeah, well, it's safer. It's the liability of it. But at the end of the day, a kid broke his leg sliding at home on one of my fields there.
Right.
When nobody ever broke their legs in football, right? In the league when I was there. So, they would say, well, baseball's a lot safer. Well, the kid slid into home and his cleat got stuck on the floor and broke his foot. So I think it's a matter of who's the director. It's a matter of who's the city manager, who's the commission, because if these people don't want to put money into it, and as a director, man, I'm going to have to buy equipment, I have to buy uniforms, they're more expensive. And then I'm buying insurance for it. So people don't do it. So Palmview did away with it when I left. When I got to Mission, I want to push it right away. So we kept it at flag football. I said, why am I going to stress myself to do tackle? Right. But when I started Primetime Sports, I implemented tackle football. Yeah. So McAllen did away with it also, like maybe I would say McAllen did away like 10 years ago. They did away with tackle football.
But you know what's interesting, though, about that is that, for example, McAllen does away with it. You don't do it in Mission. Palmview, you did it, but then you don't do it.
Yeah.
And there comes a point where you got to understand that TIFA still exists.
Yeah.
And there's another organization, I don't know what it's called, but tackle football is still getting done with the youth, the 6th, 5th graders, the 4th graders.
Yeah.
So if someone's going to do it, well, we might as well do it to help the community out. I mean, that's my personal opinion. Some people might say it's a liability. Yeah, but people are still playing TIFA.
You're still going to play. Like I had my league. I had my tackle football league, and it was great. In fact, we played the TIFA team. Mine was recreational kids.
I used to ref in TIFA in San Antonio.
Oh, yeah. And we played the FAR teams, the Westacos, Donas. They had in fact, Primetime Sports was going to join TIFA this year. But because of COVID, we're going to put in an organization. We're going to be, so I was going to get all the kids from Sherry, Mission, Palmview, Pañita, La Jolla. Everything from the West belonged to me because Mission Boys and Girls Club didn't have it. Palmview Rec doesn't have it. So it was good for me because all the numbers are higher, right? And for me, it's a lot more expensive though, but people are still willing to pay. But the thing is that a lot of these middle schools or even high school are not getting that talent because let's say TIFA has a team here in Mission, right? Yeah. In fact, the Mustangs also dissolved, but they had Sherryland Rattlers are the closest one with TIFA. But then most of those kids go to Sherryland. So a lot of these kids over here are not playing until 7th grade. They don't know how to hit. They're still afraid to get hit.
I'm telling you that as right now, I've done 7th grade football for 9 years now, and we're starting from scratch.
Yeah, because there's no league there no more.
Right, except for of course that group. For example, I had about 3 or 4 guys that were with Fred Martinez, a father.
Yeah,
they had some experience there, and I mean 3 or 4 guys helps because they help you in showing, and the other kids kind of learn from each other. But when you have, the full the whole 7th grade group, maybe just one that has never played, it's more challenging. Yeah. It's a lot more challenging. But
one of my goals is to go out there in La Jolla. I've talked to some of the board members and I talked to some of the leaders in the different cities. And I said, you know what, since there's no football here, maybe we can start a 6th grade football, 5th grade, and you can develop those kids. And when you get to Chavez Elementary, or you get to, to Nelly Junior, or what is it, the one in
whatever junior I see, the junior Memorial. High you get from, whichever junior high.
Those kids, at least you have a good 10 to 15 kids that played, and that's your team right there. I mean, it's a big advantage. So I think that if the Boys and Girls Club or Palmview Rec are not doing it no more, it affects the middle schools. You're still going to do it, but you don't have the kids coming in knocking heads. But you got to start from scratch. And there's two teams that were playing with me with Primetime Sports. There's a couple of kids, bro. We played Westlaco. Man, this kid's a sixth grader. I think he's gonna go. I think it's from Irene Garcia. That kid, Westlaco was like, oh, we're coming in, we're strong, and no sé qué. And they're Taifa teams. We played them at Mission Veteran Stadium. They throw him a little. He goes on I think it's in a sweep, and the guy takes it. I mean, he goes 90 yards, bro. Nobody even came close to him.
Yeah,
I said, how old are you? He goes, I'm 11. I'm in sixth grade. I said, man. So then the next play, he run it the other way. So whoever's gonna get that kid, next year he's gonna be a seventh grader. He's a stud. You know what he did? He never played football. You know what he played? Soccer. He played travel soccer all his life. Yeah. He played over there with Plaza and Golazo, and he would travel. I said, bro, you never played football? And he wasn't afraid. He was knocking heads in football, and that was his first. He had played his first game, and he was like a beast. I said, bro, where are you playing at?
I'll tell you this when it comes to that comment you're making. So when I used to be at JD, we get a lot of soccer players. Now they're at Chavez, I get some soccer players, and they might not know the game as much, but it helps that they've been on a team. They've learned how to read, recognize. Yeah. They know what it is to get coached, the drills, the discipline, the practices. So, yeah, they might not know football as much, but they know what it is to be an athlete. And it goes back to being a multi-sport athlete. So I get what you're saying. And I mean, I guess whoever gets that guy that you're talking about is going to be lucky. All right, so football, we already know it's good. All right, talk to me about basketball. I'm a big basketball guy. And I tell all the parents, you want your kid to be good at all sports, you make them play basketball first. Whether it's, third, fourth, fifth grade, by the time you're in sixth grade, your hand-eye coordination, you catch a ball, you throw the ball. Yeah. And I like basketball in the sense that you're very involved. For example, if you're a receiver in high school and they don't run and it's not a throwing team, but you might as well play football and you might as well go play basketball, because in basketball you get more action, right? Yeah. I mean, that's just a personal thought of mine. I mean, I know as a parent, like for example, my son, he's probably going to be short, 5'8", whatever. And if he's quick enough and can play slot receiver, I'm like, hey, go ahead and play football. Because I know I'm going to have him play, I want him to play soccer. But if there's a passing team, spread offense, hey, go play slot, go do your thing. My point is, let's go talk about basketball and what kind of numbers you had when you got here, when you left, what kind of things you did in basketball at the Mission Boys and Girls Club compared to Palmview Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, and basketball, I think in that area, Palmview and La Jolla and Peñitas, I think it's the weakest, to be honest with you. And Fidel was one of my coaches, and he's always complaining about that, right? And Fidel...
I coached one team 1 year, the guys that are the incoming freshmen, I coached them while they were in sixth grade there at the Palmview Parks and Rec, basketball.
Yeah, when we got there, we usually had like two or three teams per team. We ended up doing I think we had 8 teams per division across. And we also brought in the girls teams. Girls would have to play co-ed all the time, right? And because
I personally, like I told you when I was talking to you about the soccer and primetime sports, I'm like, I need an all girls. Yeah. But it's because there's not enough parents that put their girls in sports.
They don't want to come out there, unless the girl likes to play. Like my daughter, she'll play anything. She even played linebacker with her school, but then that's all she does, sports. So she'll play any sport. Yeah. But then you have a regular, like my second daughter, she's not gonna play basketball. She'll play volleyball and stuff, but you're gonna put her in basketball. Hey, no, they're too aggressive, because the girls are very aggressive. Right. So basketball, to be honest with you, I would see a lot of baseball teams that will use basketball, because basketball we would start it in January, February. That's the cold weather days. Yeah. They will use basketball because they couldn't practice baseball. We had like Boo Boo and all those coaches that played, that coach over here. They will use basketball to stay in shape for baseball and track and all this stuff. So they weren't an year-round basketball players. They were more like year-round baseball players or football, but they wanted to use basketball to stay in shape, because they're running back and forth on the court, right? To stay in shape, to get quicker, you get you can cut and so forth. So basketball was good, but we didn't have.
What kind of numbers did you have? So, for example, you mentioned that you had 75. No, you had 60 some, then 75, then 94 teams in baseball in those 3 years. What kind of growth did you have in basketball in those 3-4 years that you were in Palmview?
Basketball, we had between probably it was like 6 to 10 teams per division. We had 4 divisions, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So across the board, normally you'll have a good 6 to 10 teams, right, per division. So you're looking at 30 plus teams. You still have 10 kids per team. So you have a good 300, 350 kids playing basketball, right?
Which is good.
Which is good. That's still a good, very good number. But if you compare basketball numbers with baseball, you have your 800, 1,000 kids.
Right, which is cool.
So, but then again, in basketball, there's only 5 kids that play, right?
Yeah.
5, you play 5 on 5. And in baseball posts, it's 9 or 10 kids. If it's T-ball posts, it's like 10 kids. Yeah. And then if you do football, it's 11 and 11. So, the numbers. The numbers are a lot lower in basketball, and it seems that the season is a lot shorter. In fact, I would run my basketball season real fast because of the fact that there's less teams, and it's just there's not a lot compared to like baseball and so forth. So
let me get into your brain real quick, and I guess well, before we get into that, so you do January, February. What were the numbers like both years when you were the athletic director and the executive director at Mission Boys and Girls Club with basketball?
Basketball?
Yeah.
Yeah, basketball, they used to have like 25 teams.
In Mission?
In Mission.
The numbers were bigger or about the same?
No.
More?
Yeah, then we ended up having like around 40, 45 teams. Yeah, in basketball.
But you have 2 courts there, right? Did you use those 2 courts?
No, we had four courts. So
man, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, and that's the difference. Yeah, we wanted to do it. We wanted to expand. So when I got there, we were building another gym on Sharyland, and we did an expansion for it was for an educational.
The one at the park with a pond.
Yeah, the duck park. We call them the duck park, but it's really Banworth Park. So
but that's that belongs to the city, the Parks and Rec of Mission.
No, it belongs to. I was managing those ones.
Really?
The director. Yeah, it's just that.
See, I didn't know that.
For me, it was all about growth. So I had, if you overall numbers, when I got to Mission was 2,000 kids that they would serve. When I left, we were at 7,000 kids, right? So and we had we did a year-round I did it for 1 or 2 seasons, year-round baseball, year-round basketball, and year-round volleyball. But me coming with a mentality from Palmview, I was a director, but I was also on the field, on the floor all the time, or on the field. When I come to Mission, yeah, I want all this, and I did, but I'm not overseeing that directly because I have the after-school programs.
Right.
I need to be at we always had city managers meetings. There's always directors meetings, city council meetings.
Yeah, but you have the athletic director, like you said, you had an athletic director, no?
Yeah,
which is Abel, right? Is that Abel? AB or whatever. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then another guy came in, I think this year. So
okay.
But the numbers in Palmview, there's only 1 gym, right?
Right.
But then we would do an interlocal agreement with the school, so we would use like Irene Garcia, we use Palmview
Richards, Chavez Middle School, Memorial.
So there's always, if the director really wants to do something, like if they want to grow, you don't need the facility sometimes. You just need, hey, you know what? We're going to have these numbers. Let's go with the school district. And the school district, it's always available. If you're not running your sport, if the school's not running their sports, then it's good, right? So Mission had four courts, 2 at the main on Conway. Then you have the one on Mayberry, next to the Mayberry pool, right behind Spikes Fort. So there's another gym there.
Yeah, I seen that one.
And then the one here at the Duck Park, right?
Banworth, right? Yeah.
Banworth. And there's sometimes that we had too many teams. I would call Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec has their gym at Bryan. I would say, hey, can I use it Mondays and Thursdays? Sure, let's do it. So then we were able to run even 5 gyms, right? And so if you run volleyball or basketball, when it comes down to facilities, Mission doesn't need anything, right? When you come down to Palmview, you only have 1 gym, right?
Yeah.
And you have 1 gym, and at the end, last time I went to check, I think one of the girls they had practice. They borrowed the gym or they rented the gym during the COVID, only 1 day, and they need to get some new, some new floor.
It's very interesting. And see, this comment goes into this. I mean, I'm gonna come back to sports and ask some questions about basketball and an idea I have to throw your way. I want you to tell me why that's not possible. But before we go there, it's in my notes here. Before we go there, you just mentioned something that we need to touch base on. Mission Boys and Girls Club has 4 gyms, maybe 5 once you add the Parks and Rec.
And they have 26 parks.
And they have 26 parks, right?
Yeah.
So then the other day I have, Adan Montalvo on here and Coach Valde Benoit is on here. And Coach Valde Benoit made the question, how many people that are from the Palmview, Peñitas, La Jolla, Sullivan area are moving away to the Mission, Sherryland, which is Mission, McAllen, Edinburgh areas? How many people are leaving? And we're trying, to figure out why, different factors that may be.
Yeah.
But then I thought to myself, over the course of the past 2-3 days, I replayed the mind and I watched the show again just to, what I can do better. I'm thinking to myself, maybe that's what it is. A lot of parents are like, well, I need to move to Mission so I can have better opportunities for my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 gyms, 26 parks. Maybe I need to go to McAllen because they have a better Boys and Girls Club. They have a better Parks and Rec. I need to move to Edinburgh because they have the Vipers facility.
Yeah.
They have a lot more parks. It's more organized. So
Yeah.
I think it's not a knock on it. It's just more, let's learn from okay, so who's doing things right? Obviously, Boys and Girls Club has 5 gyms. That's a good thing. So maybe there's got to be a push to where maybe some of the cities in the West say, okay, we need to add some more gyms.
Yeah.
Or we need to add some more parks, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, smaller cities, they're just only going to get so much funding. Bigger cities are going to get a lot more, and they have a lot more to operate with. But at the end of the day, to be honest with you, I don't know what's the number. For me, I wouldn't, like, my daughter's at probably one of the best programs, which is Mission Veterans for volleyball, right? That is where we want.
I think everybody knows that. You
Yeah,
want
so-
volleyball, you
Yeah.
take your daughter to Mission Vets.
So I live right in front of Mission Veterans, right? I sold that house, and I live in Sherryland. And one of my good friends is the head coach for Sherryland, and another one is in Pioneer. But my daughter says, no, this is the school that I want to because it's a
Right.
powerhouse. So even though I live over here, my daughter's still going to Veterans because
Yeah, because it's open enrollment now. You establish residency your
Yeah.
freshman year, and you're fine.
Yeah, because the schools that they're going to look for, when it comes down to the scholarships, because my daughter's, she has a good height, very skilled. When it comes down to it, she needs, just work on her on probably her vertical. That's what I see probably that she needs to work on. But a lot of these girls from Veterans are signing even just to pay your education.
Yeah.
In a Division II.
Yeah,
So,
whatever it may be. It's like Coach Benoit said. Don't get hung up on D1. It's go get a free education and you get to
Yeah.
play at the same time.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it, if like going back, if I was doing some, let's say, I'm not the director there no more, but if I was doing some consulting work for those cities,
Right.
I would say, hey, you know what? Let's build your league. You might not have the facilities. Like Peñitas has 0 facilities, right?
Right.
So I told them, but let's do an interlocal with the school. It's just a matter of wanting to do it. And if the mayor and the council are for it, say, hey, well, let's do something for our community. Why does Peñitas kids have to go to Palmview because there's nothing in Peñitas? Why do La Jolla kids have to go all the way to Palmview? I mean, we had kids from Sullivan driving 15 miles, all the way just to come and play baseball or football. We had people from 9-10 mile line coming to go play over here because there's nothing else. So,
But I think, and you know what? I think, seeing that we're in the political aspect, and we're touching on how to improve the cities and the ideas you have is, from my sources, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. From some sources is that some cities, because remember, there's 5 cities. What is it? There's Palmview, Peñitas, there's 4 cities. Some cities come out get a bunch of loans to build this, build that, buy this, and now the taxpayer in the city has to be paying interest rate on those loans to build whatever it may build. Well, you
Yeah.
might as well build a nice 4-court facility, get the loan and pay interest because they're already doing it anyways.
yeah.
I heard the other day that there was a post on Facebook that La Jolla donated or that might donate land in front of Flores Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're thinking about building a library, a new city hall, police department, EMS, all those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's money. Where's
Yeah.
that money going to come from? How does the budget look? Are they in debt? Are they in the positives? And if not, is there going to be a loan? what company, what contractor is going to get that loan, who's the owner of that contract. These are those questions. I'm thinking to myself, City Hall, the sources could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, why not do something for the kids?
Yeah.
Like what you're saying is, the only reason I'm making these comments is because we're going back to the fact that why are people leaving? Why are people leaving to Mission? Why are people leaving to Sharyland? Why are people leaving to McAllen, Edinburgh, those areas? Because, and I mean, granted, there's different factors. But I think if city leaders can just do a little bit better in building infrastructure for kids, the parents won't leave. They'll be happy with the programs that they have.
Yeah, and I think that's what the smaller cities needs to do is let's invest in our younger generation.
Right.
Let's invest into what is it that we need. Well, if you already have a gym, let's fix it up a little bit more. Then, if you already have a park, let's beautify the park. If we don't have a lot of money, or if you're gonna, let's say this year they're gonna do a resource, resource project, but the next year, okay, let's say improve the police department. So it all depends on the priorities,
right,
on the need. I guess if you do one of the things I did here in Mission, they did an assessment, right? What are the needs that we have in our city? And people say, well, you know what? Some of our parks need beautification. So they put money into that. Well, you know what? Our drain is bad, right? Here, remember when it flooded real bad?
Oh, yeah.
So
it was real bad.
They said, no, we need to invest, let's say 10, 15 million into the drain. Because at the end of the day, we need the water to go down.
All that, yeah.
So the priority is that. I remember when I was in Mission, the project went from 200,000 to 400,000, just the educational center here at Banworth at the Duck Park.
Yeah.
So I know some of them were against it, but I had to fight for that. We had an advisory board, because over here you have an advisory board for the Boys and Girls Club. They had to fight and say, this is why, because of the expansion, right? So when you go to those meetings, like those budget meetings in June as a director, where you go with your city manager, because the city manager has to go to council and say, hey, this is what we're proposing. Those people have to say, this is what we need. It's all about the leaders that you have in place. Because at the end of the day, the mayor is going to be, hey, well, the city manager didn't even tell me about this. They didn't tell me they had the needs at the park, right? So every director needs to speak up for what they believe they need. And a lot of people don't want to speak up because they want to protect their job, right? Well, we don't want to be a burden. No. You are the voice for that department. If I work for the fire department, I am the voice. I am the chief of the fire department. I am the voice for this. We need more of this.
It's interesting that you mentioned that why is there fear on speaking up? I remember I used to go into, and I guess from the university's point of view is at Indiana State, at Loyola Marymount, at UTSA, we go into meetings and we just talk. Like there's never fear of, you're going to upset me. It's like, no, just share your mind, share what you need, what kind of problems, good things that are happening, and that's it. And then we'll tackle it. And I know my wife here at she works at Mission, and she tells me, we have our meetings, and everybody just chimes in. Hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. This is what I need. This is what I need. This is not working. This is not, and everybody, it's a team.
Yeah.
There's never fear of losing your job because you might disagree with something, or you think that. For example, you in Parks and Rec or Boys and Girls Club, well, I need 15, or let's just say 500,000. I need 500,000. No one's gonna get upset. No one should get upset at you.
Yeah,
that's what you need.
Yeah, and the discussions is like over there in Palmview. I don't think we really had department head meetings. I mean, it was rare, right? And then I think they started implementing some. In Mission,
what kind of meetings do you do? Go for it.
In Mission, the directors meet with the city manager every Tuesday at 8:30 for 2 hours. And we discuss the needs that we have. We discuss what's going on. So the city manager is aware of all the needs. And I would always say, hey, man, I need this. I need the police officers. Hey, well, you know what? The chief of police is here. Wait, we're going to have an event. I need patrol, right? So if the city comes together and say, hey, we got to work as a team with the little or the little that we have, let's help each other out.
So in those meetings that you had, you were going into a meeting as a director of Boys and Girls Club. Who else was at those meetings?
All the directors. You have the director for Parks and Rec, director for Boys and Girls Club, the director for sanitation, the director for the water department, the director for the engineer. You have the attorney. You have the fire department, the police department. You have the risk management.
Also, everybody knows what's going on. All the directors get to hear everybody. Yeah. The round table. It's a round table of ideas and needs.
Yeah. I literally knew what the fire department was gonna do, what event they were gonna do for the police department.
Right.
I knew when, if I need something from the courthouse, I knew what they were gonna do. If they were having a big event at the museum, I knew that, and everybody knew that I was having a ceremony, that I was starting baseball, because there's so much activity at the club, right? So once you're there, you get feedback from directors, you get feedback from your city manager, you get feedback from the attorney. If I need an interlocal, hey, the attorney is there. So it didn't have to be like, well, we gotta meet, we can meet next week. It was right there and then. It was very structured. And then I started doing meetings with my staff. I had 30 staff at the Boys and Girls Club. And I would say every Monday we're meeting at 1 because a lot of them are college kids. So it was hard to meet in the morning.
Right.
I would meet with every other week I'll meet with the executive team, which is kind of your my administrator, my assistant. I would meet with the athletic director, with the programs. So you meet with those teams. So at the end of the day, everybody knows what we need, what we're doing, what's coming up, and that's the way you function. And I think smaller cities don't do that because of the fact that they're not structured that way. I don't know what it is, but a lot of the cities, maybe they're doing it now. But when I was there, we weren't doing it the way Mission is doing it. And what I decided to do is the way we do it at the city with the city of Mission, I would do it with my club, right? Even though smaller scale, but all my staff knew that we were registering. All my staff knew the hours that we were operating and what was going on. If United Way was going to come and visit, we were prepared. Hey, let's put signs. United Way is coming in. Let's welcome United Way in. Get the kids prepared. Have a little show, a little program for them. So it all starts with the leadership that you have, and I think you can have a very successful programs.
Well, you said you don't know what it was or if it's different or not. So let's rewind and go back into basketball. So you had a league from January and February. Mm-hmm. I know my daughter played with Coach Montalvo and his daughter, mm-hmm. and my brother's sons mm-hmm. in McAllen, mm-hmm. Boys and Girls Club. How much communication do you guys have with those guys when you were at the Boys and Girls Club?
With who?
With McAllen Boys and Girls Club. Like, do you guys share ideas? Like, for example, one thing that I did like from McAllen Boys and Girls Club is mm-hmm. I did everything online. I registered my daughter. I paid online. Boom. That's it. I just got to talk to Coach Montalvo. He's the coach, and he communicates with us.
Yeah.
Do you guys do online stuff in Mission or no?
Yeah. Well, Mission, no. Then the system we're barely going to implement it. In fact, I have one for primetime sports, and it's very easy to do online because parents can do that.
Yeah.
The thing is, if it's just a matter of setting up a program and people doing it, and just like you said, now the only kind of communication will be with a coach, right?
Right.
But when I was in Mission, every city runs in their own, right? Now we would meet, like we had like in baseball, all the directors meet, the presidents will meet with Pony Baseball. Okay. But that's the only sport that everybody gathers. And then with the directors, if we had directors meeting from the Valley, or if somebody was coming from Boys and Girls of America, they want to have a meeting, or we're meeting with United Way to get the awards or whatever, then that's when all the directors would meet. But but the number one thing, like I said, in the conferences with Boys and Girls of America, that's when you get to get all these ideas. What is the Boys and Girls Club in California doing? What is New York doing? And I got so many contacts to get a grant, or just, this is how much they're charging. This is how much we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy because people were.
I feel you, because I used to do the same thing when I was in the NERSA, and you go to university. We go to a national conference, state conferences, regional conferences, and it's just a flow of ideas, policies, procedures, and you're copying, or you pick and choose what you like and what you can implement, huh?
Yeah, no, and people were so impressed with how much involvement we had in sports down here. They're like, there's no way you have that many numbers in your sports. I said, yes, because over there the sports is not really, it's more like a recreational and just fun for fun. The educational programs are very important up there, so they were very structured when it comes down to programs. But here in the Valley, this area, there's all day in school. The last thing they want to go is to go to another program, right?
Yeah.
They want to go and burn some energy, go and be active. So over there, I would say, hey, well, I have, 800 kids playing baseball. What do you mean? And people go, I go, oh, and people, I said, people, yeah, they were like, I said, oh, and people get aggressive and they get into it, right? They get fights and stuff like that. No way. And wow, that's crazy over there. But a lot of Boys and Girls Club, are run by the puro gringos, right? So it's very different that here in the Valley, the way we operate compared to your San Antonios, your Houstons, and
All right, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's. I know. I think my brother worked for Boys and Girls Club, or he worked for something in San Antonio. I worked for the Parks and Rec in San Antonio. There's a good question that Coach Benoit is asking, but we touched base on it at the beginning of the show, and I'll ask you again here in a bit. It's a great question. But before we go into that question, let me ask you this. So you had basketball in February, March. And like I said, my daughter played in McAllen, but then I realized McAllen has fall, winter, spring, summer basketball.
Yeah.
Why or what is it that you didn't do it in Palmview and you don't do it in Mission Boys and Girls Club?
The numbers don't come out. Like if I offer basketball year round, but there's baseball season, everybody was going to baseball. And if I offered football and basketball, everybody's going to football.
Right.
If I offered
so they would neglect basketball to where in McAllen and Edinburgh, they're like, you have your niche of basketball people are going to do basketball year round.
Well, the reason is that this area, you're only working with kids from this area, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how you're working with. If you go to the bigger city like McAllen, like my daughter, I mean, they didn't want for us to play at the local Boys and Girls. Not that they didn't want me as a director. I didn't want her to play when she was a sixth grader with girls that didn't know how to play because we were so advanced. So we would put our team into the McAllen Boys and Girls Club with the elite level because that's a competition. So then you have a team like my daughters, and there's a lot of them now. Edinburgh brings their best teams. They'll bring them to McAllen. They'll bring them from far. So all these other cities
are looking for same caliber of competition. Then
it's the same with baseball. If you're a travel team, you don't want to play at the rec center. It's gonna be 15-0, right?
Yeah.
So what you do is you go play the tournaments. You play the travel in the weekends, and then you put a World Series to go. And because the level of competition is so high. And that's the same thing that happens with basketball now. A lot, you have the Vipers, you have, South Texas, you Longhorns, Extreme. They're all traveling because of the competition, because of the fact that they do year round, and that's what they concentrate.
They start early, and those parents, they keep those teams together.
Yeah,
there's about at least 10 or 12 teams. Yeah. All right, let me ask you this. Here's one of my gripes as a coach, or it's not a gripe, but it's an idea. I want to know how hard it is to implement this idea I have. 7th grade and 8th grade is a little bit more organized in the sense that we know who the basketball players are and stuff like that, and the coaches and the parents, right? So my idea is, for example, if the girls have basketball season, UIL, in late fall, I would like for there to be a girls' 7th and 8th grade basketball league in the winter, in January, February, for 7th and 8th grade girls. And then for the boys, they start UIL basketball, 7th and 8th grade, January, February. I would like Parks and Rec to have a boys basketball league in November and December. How hard is that? Or are there rules that don't allow that? What's going on there?
With the Parks and Rec or Boys and Girls Club, there's no rules. You're not under UIL rules. So
all the director has to say, we're going to have a league for 7th and 8th grade boys, November, December, register.
It's just a matter of the director says, we're going to implement it. Like I told you, when I went to Mission, they were used to one season. So I did what I was doing in Palmview. I did the spring, the winter, and the summer. And I would do 3 seasons, right? Kind of like what McAllen was doing. Like my daughter's playing travel ball. She's playing 7th grade. I think, last year she was playing 8th grade. We played, literally, they only played like 5 minutes because they destroyed everybody, right? They'll play the Hidalgos. They literally would destroy everybody in volleyball. And majority of the time, they're sitting down the second game and the third because they're letting all the girls play. Yeah. So her playing time, where she got their experience? Playing on the weekend tournaments. So she will play they will play, I think, Mondays only at the middle school, volleyball. And then she would train during the week, twice a week, and we'll schedule around the volleyball season. Right. And then on the Saturdays, she'll play in my league, so we'll go play in another league. And that's where they will get all the playing time. So
she was getting one game for the school, and then the weekend tournament was with the travel team.
Yeah, in the weekend we'll get 3 games. We'll play 3 games, and then in between they train they would train with a
But
travel
see,
team.
I'm glad you told me that it just comes down to the director of the Parks and Rec or the Mission Boys and Girls Club
Yeah.
and saying, we're going to have a 7th and 8th grade league
Yeah.
in the, for basketball or
Yeah.
even for football. Say, you know what? Football season for junior high was in the fall. We're going to have a junior high season in the spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember I was driving in San Antonio once, and también aquí in McAllen, you're driving in the spring, and it's like, why are they playing right now? There's football going on, tackle football
Yeah.
with help, 11 on 11.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to the
No.
directors
Yeah.
having
So,
the league.
so now that I'm running primetime sports,
Yeah.
it's for me, I'm doing all sports. Like I'm
Right.
literally running soccer year round. I'm running tackle football year round. I actually did 2 seasons. I'm running volleyball and baseball year round. And then the weekends I would do tournaments, right?
Right.
So it just I'm there, it's my baby, right? So the more that we do, it's the better for us and the better for the kids. Yeah. And in Mission and in Palmview, sometimes you don't want to burn out the staff, because at the end of the day, if I'm making 60, 70,000 as a director at the Boys and Girls Club in Mission, even if I brought another 5,000 kids, and they're not going to give you
stays the same.
You're going to stay the same. Yeah. So, but you have a lot more issues, because like when I was in Mission, well, I was not overseeing the sports program directly because I was overseeing everything. Yeah. So I was not at the field till 10 p.m. because I'm not going to be there from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night. They'll divorce me overnight, every day there. So then that's why you have the other staff, but it's not the same because, so what I felt that I did when I came to Mission, I burned out some of the staff, because they were, it's easy for Juan to say it, but we have to run it every single day. Yeah. And then you have more issues, the facilities, you're using volleyball and basketball. So there you have to manage it well. And sometimes that's the reason why, as a director of those clubs, you don't want to burn yourself to run it year round for what? To have more issues. And that's the mentality, right? People think that way. For me was, no, I'm here to grow and expand. That's what I want to do. But there's some people that feel like, hey, you know what? I'm fine where we at. We get the benefits, we get the paycheck, and we don't have to deal with it year round. But it all depends. Me,
but then with that mentality, you got McAllen runs it year round.
Taking your kids. What
happens to parents, and they take their kids over there, and they never come back over here.
They won't come back.
Because then they get so well developed, but they're like, I'm not going back there. My kid already got advanced. I got to stay with the advanced group.
Yeah. And the only way they will come back, like my daughter, the only way she wanted to play at the Boys and Girls Club, I remember in 5th grade, was because her friends were playing, right? Her friends were playing. I said, do you prefer your friends?
Like her friends in elementary school.
In elementary. So I said, you prefer your friends or you want to play good volleyball? He goes, I want both. But volleyball is always going to be there in the weekends, but I would like to hang out with my friends. So that was the only reason why, right?
Right.
But aside from that, if parents take them out and they'll go play somewhere else, and it affects people's programs. And if they have a bad experience at a club, right? Because I had people that had amazing experiences, but I also had some people that disagreed with some of the things, right? Whether maybe it wasn't my fault, but maybe a coach didn't play your kid that much, or maybe a parent got into it with another parent, and we don't want to be in that program because that's all they do. Because one bad apple ruins the entire, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way people sometimes feel that if this is the way Palmview runs. This is the way Mission. When I was in between Mission and Palmview in those 12 years, I had more fights in Mission than what I had in Palmview. I had not a single fight. Yeah, there was arguments, but nobody ever hit somebody with a bat or punched somebody. Never. I was stuck to the fence. I would see somebody angry or, hey, coach, calm down. Hey, let's go. I would tell the coaches, go to the concession. I'll give them some nachos or whatever just to chill out, right?
Chill out, yeah.
You try to play reverse psychology. You try to play, you're the one that's trying to decrease, the situation. In Mission, man, I had 2 parents fist fighting, bro. Like, not this season, but when I was the athletic director back in 2008.
Yeah.
Oh, this parent, and guess what? The head coach, the head coach said, Juan, I will never, ever coach in Mission again. Not because of you, not because of the kids, because look at the parents. It was a boyfriend's girlfriend. The boyfriend had a girlfriend and an ex-wife, and the kid was playing. He was there. He was coaching that team, and they got into it for a Gatorade, right? So they went at it because of a Gatorade.
No, pues ya había piquete. You know, they had already some underlying issue there.
Yeah.
I will say this though, uh, that when it comes to sport development, and I hope you know sport directors are listening to this message. Is I had an issue with the Mission Boys and Girls Club when I had my kids in soccer last summer. So I go up to AB. You know, I'm all excited. I have a team, and I'm going to be the coach for my. You know, my daughter has a team, and we're going to get in there. And then 6-on-6, and and there's no way. You know, kids get distracted and competition. So then I go to AB, and I said, hey guys, you know what? For future reference, I think you should make the younger kids 3-on-3, 4-on-4 max. No, but you're saying that because you want it to be competitive. You're coming from MISA. I'm like, dude, my like I have my knowledge. Like I couldn't convince them because they got defensive. I'm attacking their program.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. I'm coming from the development part. My whole background is child development. You know, develop kids, get them good. And I hate, not that I hate it. I was kind of disappointed the fact that the message wasn't getting across because the defense shield was there.
Yeah.
And that's
So
when I told you was when I had the very first thing I asked you when I was going to put my son's team, my 4-year-old team is like, well, what are the numbers? Because I won't put my 4-year-old son team on a 5-on-5 or more. It's either going to be 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 because the consensus across the nation is the development and then playing and having fun. When 6-on-6, you know, whatever, it's a philosophy. But I had to run it like that. But I will say this: because MISA didn't have it. That's why I started my training because I was like, well, I'm not going to go back to mission. I got to make sure my son and my daughters are training in soccer and speed, but then make the business and see what I can do. But what's the question you want to ask me?
Well, no, the thing is with that's why the reason you have those meetings is to get feedback from the coaches, right?
Yeah.
And I would always tell AB and whoever was there, hey, listen to the coaches. We have our rules in place, right? But I was always open because when I was in Palm Beach too, we have a coaches meeting. People say, oh, we're going to have the same thing. No. The reason we have a preseason meeting is so we can get feedback like what you're saying. Hey, you know what? Last year we played 6-on-6. It was a mess or the kids don't develop. Why don't we try 4-on-4? And I was always open. Hey, if the rest of the coaches agreed, hey, you know what? They're right. At this level, we can do 4-on-4 and 3-on-3. Then that's why you have the coaches meeting. You get that feedback, bring it back, and you bring it to the sports committee, and we make decisions, right? So because we had a sports committee. So that's the way it works on every sport. Hey, what are the coaches saying? No, pues you know what? In volleyball, there's too many, you know, the girls are serving too many, you know, they're serving too much. So we cut it down to 5 because the girl was so good in volleyball. They should beat everybody by herself. Her team or the other team was playing. In fact, it was one of the coaches, Coach Ibarra's daughter. And I implemented the Didi rule when she was, you know, back. Now she played college ball and everything. But because of those meetings, people say, hey, let's try to change this, and it benefits the program, right? And a lot of times you have coaches like you yourself that you coach, you know, at middle school, or you had it before, and that experience, or you know, or at least that advice comes and say, you know what, that's going to better the program. Let's listen to these coaches. You know, I had it in football too. Some people say, hey, let's stop the blitzing. Let's only do one blitz. All right, you know what? Everybody agreed. Yeah, okay, cool. I go myself, you know, because I was in charge of all the rules, fix them, make changes, and take it to my sports committee at that time. Actually, I would make final decision, but I like to share with the sports committee.
Yeah, of course.
And then get approved, and then go back to the coaches. Hey, coaches, this is the rules, and we're going to run. But you cannot change them in the middle of the season. But I like to get feedback from coaches and see what is better, you know. And that's the way.
At the end of the day, it's best for the kids.
Yeah.
So Matt, you know, it's interesting how you developed from those. How long were you there at Palmview? 3 years, 5 years?
No, in Palmview, I was there 6.5 years in Palmview. Yeah, Palmview was, you know what, the best experience that I've had. Not because I went to La Jolla or anything, or I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends in Mission and in Palmview. Right?
Tú eres coyotito. Tú eres coyote.
I'm a coyote, man. I one time told. You know, I told my wife, I said, I'm never going to be with nobody from Mission. I ended up marrying my wife from Mission, right? Mission Eagles. Because of the rivalry.
The rivalry.
Back
in the day.
Your mentality is, hey, we're coyotes for life and all that. You know, you're not for life, right? You know, this is where we at. So I had a big, you know, I grew up there on Moorfield Road, and I, you know, went all my life. Even when I got married, I built a house there, then ended up moving out, right? But you know, Palmview, I love the Palmview. The atmosphere is different. They're more aggressive, the parents, but if you have a good relationship with them and the coaches, and that's not about it. It's about communication with coaches, parents. But I think that Palmview. I mean, I had a great experience with Palmview. I guess because it's more, not that it's more laid back. It's just it's a good environment. You know, it's a good environment. Mission. Then again, Mission. My position was different. You know, I was the executive director, so you know, you have
involved in that night. Yeah, of course.
yeah. So it was good, you know, there. And I think, you know, I know they have elections in November. So, you know, I know everybody wants change every time, right? Everybody wants changes. And change is good. You know, I tell everybody change is good. You know, I take constructive criticism. I like to change, you know. So, you know.
Are you telling people right now to vote for the new 3 candidates? Is that what you just said?
I didn't say
I hope
that.
not, because a lot of people are going to be upset at you when they watch this.
No, I mean, actually, that's not my.
Yeah, no, I'm just messing with you, you know.
But
Ya sabes cómo la
yeah.
política, hey, it gets heated, man. It gets
Yeah.
heated. All right, so let me
I
ask
don't
you
even know.
that.
I don't even know who's running again.
Right.
I asked you a while back, and I think you never responded. So I don't.
No,
even
no,
know.
I didn't respond. I try to. It's my message when it comes to Mendezville Live and politics.
Yeah.
Is I'm trying to stay as objective as possible. It's more about the voters for them to make the most informed decisions.
Yeah.
I know right now they're talking about transparency, and I think, for example, transparency. And I talked about that contract coming up with that land. It's
Yeah.
okay if they're gonna buy land, they're gonna get a loan, they're gonna pay interest. Is that being transparent? And who's gonna get the contract? Who's the owner of that company? And all these things that come about transparency, or are they just showing transparency on what they want the public to see?
Yeah.
It's all about the voters when I go into politics.
Yeah.
So now that we're going into
But,
that,
yeah.
and you mentioned that, what kind of things did you see politically that were good and helped you, or the city itself, or what kind of things you saw that were bad and that didn't work, or that you're like, man, I can't believe they did this, and what are things that we can do different? Some advice from as a consultant in the past there in Palmview.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I had a very good experience in Mission and in Palmview when it came down to the politics. When it came down to sports, because my focus was that, right? I never had an encounter with anybody calling me, hey, this person needs to win this game, or this umpire needs to ref, or this coach needs to get this. Never. But then again, when I went in there, I went with a mentality, and I told them, look, if somebody's going to run this program, you know, it has to be me. But if they're going to be, you know, pushing in too much, then there's no reason for me to be here. So from day one, I set my standard. I said, I am the director. Now, if I'm messing up, then tell me something, right? But if I'm running a program that is working, that the people are happy, that we're developing every, you know, youth, and we're growing in leagues and in numbers, hey, just show the support. So to be honest with you, when I was there, the administration that was there, they supported me from city management, you know, to the mayor, even to the maintenance guys, right? I would tell them, hey, we need this cut, this grass, this line needs to be at this far. So, but I never had a problem in Mission, and I never had a problem in Palmview. And I left Palmview because it was a professional growth and opportunity for me in Mission, right?
Oh, so okay, and that's good to know why you left. So you left Mission because they offered you a higher position in Palmview.
In Palmview,
right?
yeah.
And then you leave Palmview because
they offered the executive position in Mission. So
I see.
For me as a person, I'm always looking out for the best interest of my family, right?
Right, of course. I think everybody is.
Yeah. So, you know, there was, you know, $10,000-$12,000 difference every time I would go somewhere. So I wasn't leaving because of anything, because they treated me wrong, or it was all because, hey, you know what? I'm going to have 30 staff in Mission. I'm going to have more facilities. They're going to give me an increase on my salary. It's going to be, you know, this is, you know, and that's the reason we left. And the reason I went to Palmview was because I was going to be overseeing the entire program in Palmview, and I was going to start from scratch. So I said, if I fail, that's my fault. If we have success,
so that was your baby. That you created that.
Yeah, for me it was like, I pride myself that we developed from scratch, right? When it came down to it. Now, yes, there was a youth center there before, but the teams were going to go play admission. So, but yeah, I haven't, gotten too involved with that area when I was over here, but I know that it's like everything else. Yeah, if we use politics the right way to bring in growth and to bring in resources and to support what you have, the staff that you have, then that's a good thing. I used to like to use my connections from La Jolla School District, but that will benefit the kids of my program, right?
Yeah.
Better facilities. I will use a stadium to run, some football games on Saturdays, but because of the kids, not because I wanted to be in the stadium. It's too far, right? But because I wanted the kids to experience playing in a nice turf
Yeah,
facility.
man, of course. It's a big
Or I
deal.
wanted
It's
to
a
them
big
to
deal.
to play in a nice wood facility like the Palmview High School or Chavez
Any
or
junior high, yeah.
any junior high. So that's the reasons why I would make my contacts and call people, but not because of anything else. But I think the leadership means a lot. It depends what they want. That's how you're gonna they're gonna focus on that. And if their focus is fixing the streets, then they're gonna put money into that. If their focus is fixing the youth club, then they're gonna put money to that. If their focus is fire or safety, then they're gonna focus on that. It all depends. We all have. When I would go, I didn't care about the police department. I didn't care about the fire. I care about the Boys and Girls Club. That was my thing.
The Parks and Rec. The Parks and Rec.
Well, in Palmview was Parks and Rec, and in Mission was Boys and Girls Club. So
Okay, got you.
my focus was, hey, you're giving them 10,000 or 20 only. Hey, I want 50 or 100,000 more than last year. So
Yeah.
the budget went to, like in Mission, we were almost at $1 million budget, right? And
$1 million budget
just
for
for
your
the Boys and Girls
Club.
Yes, and that
Man,
would
let's repeat that one more time. You had $1 million budget for your Boys and Girls Club?
in Mission. In Mission.
So I wonder what the budget is for the Parks
In
and
Palm-
Recreation Department in
in
Palmview.
Okay, I would say they probably put in like around 150 to 200,000, and this is to cover just salaries. The salaries do come from the club, the city, but it's very minimal. So I mean, that's why you
Man,
have
that's a big difference, one.
that's why you have 3 staff at the Palmview to oversee everything. 3 staff, the director, and then 2 other people that work there. And in Mission, you have 30 staff, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you only have, and equipment wise, Mission, man, I would get, let's say I needed $10,000 every year to buy brand new volleyball courts. I didn't even have a single penny to buy volleyball courts in Palmview, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we needed a budget like in sports. I had $46,000 budget for uniforms in Mission, and in Palmview I had 0. I had to do a tournament to
So, I
bring
mean,
in
you
the
were,
money.
you were, I mean, it sounds like you had a better gig. I mean, I don't blame you for leaving for that kind of system. So let me ask you this, though. So I guess we can touch again for the viewers that you got late to the podcast is, how do you create, or what procedure is there to create a Boys and Girls Club in Palmview, another one in Peñitas, another one in La Jolla? What does somebody need to know, or what is the procedure to create a Boys and Girls Club in these cities?
Well, number one is, does the city commission, do they want that, right? Does the city want that? If the answer is yes, okay, then how can we get there? Then you make contact with Boys and Girls of America. You contact their district manager, and you say, hey, we want to become a Boys and Girls Club. What do we need? Then they will connect you to the closest Boys and Girls Club.
Which would be Mission.
Will be Mission, or you want Mission, okay, we want to go to McAllen because whatever. So it can be either, but normally they go by the closest city.
Right.
It will be Mission, or you want to go to Rio Grande, right? And then from there, you need to know that you're going to pay some fees, but the return will be a lot better, which is more funding, more attention, more publicity, more everything, right? The name, the brand, right?
Right.
So it's just a matter of doing it. Even if you're a smaller city, can you do it? Yeah, you can, If I want to become a Boys and Girls Club, like Primetime Sports, I want to say, hey, I want to be a Boys and Girls Club, get a facility in, let's say go rent a gym or a warehouse in Palmview.
I can get Greg's Ballroom. You could get Greg's Ballroom.
Yeah, if Palmview wants to work a deal with me, I'm more willing to work something with them, right? But I can make the phone call to Boys and Girls of America. They already know me. I met with them day in, day out,
Right.
So I can call them, establish Boys and Girls up there, go to all these trainings, all these conferences, apply for whatever they have, and the brand of Boys and Girls Club will be, it will be there, in that area. So It's
What's the fee? What's the fee? Like, do you know the number, or what would it cost a city?
oh,
Let's say for the city of Palmview, what would it cost them
dep-
to say?
depends on the numbers that you have. So let's say you have 3,000 kids. You'll pay $10 per child. You're looking at, like in Mission, I had the last numbers that we had was like around 5,000 something, right? Before when we had to pay, then we went to 7, but we were paying like around $6,000 for the membership fee total for all the registrations, whether it's programs.
You're
Well,
paying $6,000 to have grants and facilities
Yeah.
and backing.
Well, because the numbers were so high. But
Yeah.
remember this: the club is not paying those. When you register, who pays a $10 membership fee? The person, right? Whoever, like I'm gonna register my daughter, I have to pay a $10 membership
Yeah.
fee.
Yeah.
So that money, pretty much, the people are already paying for the membership.
Yeah. So basically, the city doesn't pay it. It's the
No.
parents are paying that fee.
The parents pay the $10 membership fee as long as you manage it well. There's a good management system. Then every year you pay to the Boys and Girls Club of America. And in Mission, it was even easier than that. We had a $6,000 fee. We had an advisory board that would do their own funding on the side. Let's say we had $150,000 in the bank for just whatever we wanted extra, because that's what the advisory board. Very different from the budget that you have with a city.
Really?
The advisory board, we would do skid shoots. We would do different
Special events.
especially events to raise funds.
Yeah.
So they were paying for the membership. So now you even have an advisory board paying for that, and then parents also pay for 10. So it's a lot of ways to do it. It is just a matter of getting the right person to run it. So because it's gonna take it's gonna take somebody that knows what they're doing, but it can work very easily. For me, that's all I've done, so it's very easy to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess when you say that's all I've done, I like the fact that I have that background for you being the athletic director, the executive director, and the meetings, and I miss that. I miss that in the sense that I even talked to my wife about it, and it's like I would go back to intramurals and campus recreation,
Yeah.
but just the hours,
Yeah.
are just I don't see myself being there at 8. I'd rather be with my kids, but because you have to be there. I mean, I remember when I was at Loyola Marymount. I was there 9, 10 p.m. Of course, back in the day, I'm 26,
Yeah.
single, living in Los
Yeah.
Angeles. It's different.
Yeah.
At UTSA, when I came back, I'm still single. I'm actually living with Javier Acevedo as a roommate. I see him; he's listening. It's just different. But with kids, and the way you said, well, there comes a time when you got to focus on your kids,
Yeah.
and time becomes an issue.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's like in Palmview, I would be there all day till 10 p.m. till 10 p.m. because baseball
you gotta
games.
make,
Right?
you got to make the program work.
In Mission, I was working 8 to 5, and if I had to go to a meeting, to a city council meeting, I was there, a board meeting every month or every other week. Those were the meetings. But if I didn't have to be at the games, but then it was a different position. So it all depends, and, some of the cities pay well, like McAllen pays up to $80,000 to be the director, they pay between $60,000 and $80,000 in
For Boys
McAllen.
and Girls Club?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, they offered me a while back when I was in Palmview. They offered me that position, and I didn't even want to apply. I just was so comfortable in Palmview, right? Yeah. Mission that do like 60 to 70 in Mission, 60 to 70.
All right. So then, when you left, who took over?
There's another guy that came in. In fact, the guy that came in, I think he would do like missionary work. He wasn't not from this area.
Right.
In fact, I heard that he's leaving. He's resigning. I think this week or next week. I heard that he's already he's leaving. He wasn't even there like not even a half a year, and I think he's already gonna resign. So they might be looking.
Right, they might be looking for someone. Pues ahora le go back. I don't know.
No.
Wait, speaking of that, so you
No.
leave Palmview, you leave Mission, you start Primetime Sports. You're offering all these leagues, and have you got any backlash from them? And in the sense of city leaders be like, hey man, you're taking away numbers from us because you're offering, like for example, you're offering tackle football in the spring. Like, have you had any backlash from those kind of people or no?
Yeah, I think everybody. But at the end of the day, like I tell everybody, there's enough for all of us, right?
Yeah.
And maybe here and there, yeah, they try to be more strict because I still rent their facilities because by policy, you're supposed to rent them out if they're available, right? So I still go and I rented Mission, I think like several tournaments for volleyball. But they were more strict, like checking everything out. But like I told the city man, like I told the mayor when I left, and I told the city, the advisory board, let's work together. I can, whatever Mission is not offering, I can offer it, right? If you're if you don't have basketball, why can't Primetime Sports offer basketball? You know, because they're gonna go to McAllen or anywhere else.
Yeah.
So my goal was always whatever Mission is not offering, Primetime Sports can offer it. And I was willing to sit down for that season because I would do that with some of the academies when I was the director. I'll tell them, look, I only have a 6 to 8 week season. Would you shut down and come and help me? Sure. And then whenever I'm out of season, I'll send kids your way. And that's the way you should work. You should work together as a community. And if I'm not offering, I would say, you know what, we're maxed out at Mission in the summer program, but Alton and Palmview have slots available, right? Because those slots in the summer get filled out real fast. Yeah. So that's the way I would always work. And I did that. But yeah, I've had a couple of them that felt that, hey, some of these kids are going with you. But at the end of the day, a parent makes a decision, you know, and they make a decision and coaches feel that, hey, I work well with Juan. You know, I get along with them, never had issues, and they will follow you. But, you know, it just, I don't struggle to get kids because I go to the schools. I feel nobody's going to the schools, to be honest with you, because I know. And I would go to the schools and meet the superintendents. I meet the administrators. I would meet you have to build that relationship, right? Yeah. And that's how, you know, they told me they would never be able to go to Sharyland. Primetime Sports is not going to come into Sharyland. They let me pass out flowers in the entire district, right? Yeah. So, you know, Mission CIs didn't let me, but then I found, you know, there's always ways to go in there.
Yeah, you figure out when there's a will, you figure it out.
Yeah, now my church is even involved with the school district because they wanted some, you know, they might need our facility or vice versa. So they see me there. I do Primetime Sports. We have the church, and we did Boys and Girls Club. So, you know, I'm there, you know, to provide that, you know, youth development to the kids. And you know, if a program will call me and says, hey, can Primetime Sports don't do basketball during this time? You know, I'm more than happy, but they gotta work with me as well, you know.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, some people don't like that, but at the end of the day, you know, there's enough for everybody. So
yeah, and I think, like you said, at the end of the day, parents are going to choose.
Yeah,
parents are going to choose, and if you're running a system or you're running a league, and that's what the parent wants,
yeah,
I mean, that's what the parent wants. And like I said earlier today, for Taifa, if Taifa's running it, parents are going to Taifa. Mm-hmm. Well, then why not just have it? That way parents don't have to travel as far.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be Mission or Palmview. Hey, that way those parents, they don't have to travel to Edinburgh or wherever it may be.
Yeah, you help. Yeah, we have some Mission parents going all the way to West. I go to practice and everything.
Yeah, one of the colleagues of mine, she goes all the way. She wanted to bring my son. She invited me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take him. You know, have him play some flag football with contact. Why not?
Yeah,
but if Weslaco's the closest one, pues I'm gonna go to Weslaco.
Yeah, that's the way it happens.
Man, that is some great information, Juan, man, and I'm glad you came on. Thank you for coming on. And I'm glad we touched more of youth development, your experience in Palmview, your experience in Mission. The boys, there's a lot of stuff I didn't know about Boys and Girls Club. I hope people that did watch this, I feel that by tomorrow or by the end of the week, by August, there should be already plans for a Boys and Girls Club to come into one of the cities in the West.
Yeah. And if the cities need the services, you know, like I said, we were working. In fact, I was actually gonna restart in Peñitas again. It just have pandemic, so we're gonna redo
with Primetime Sports with leagues.
Run the leagues there. And so if a city says, hey, Primetime Sports can come in and you know, they'll resell the facility but provide sports here for us, it saves the city money because small cities. So I would pay all that out of, you know, with the same registrations. I'll find ways to pay it, which is good for small cities to do. You know, it's not good for Mission because they already have the budget. But like Palmview wants to save money, hire somebody from the outside, or Peñitas or La Jolla.
Or just let you come in and run your leagues there.
Run the leagues, and the city doesn't lose, but they provide all these services.
Yeah. The community wins.
That's what I'm doing in Alton. In Alton, I'm doing all the sports, and it's a win-win for both of us. Yeah. And guess what? A lot of kids from Alton that can't travel to Mission, they're playing there, which is a good thing. So, yeah.
Nice, man. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to touch on, or you're good?
Yeah, no, we're good. I think my phone's about to die. So.
All right, man. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, you have
All
a
right.
good night. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it.